that coffee incident, mate. What can I do? Yeah. And now I had the Brazil shirt. What do you want me to do? I had to wear some.
In 1994, FIFA looked at the United States and said, yes, this is the perfect place for a World Cup. To the average US sports fan, a 0-0 draw sounded less like a sporting event and more like a coding error. The greatest show on earth coming to town would soon change that. Because it was America, they didn't just host the World Cup, they supersized it. The opening ceremony was like a Super Bowl halftime show and saw Diana Ross miss a penalty from 6 yards out, wide of a goal designed to collapse as the ball hit the net. Despite the miss, the goal collapsed anyway. Classic Hollywood. When the matches started, something weird happened. Americans actually showed up. Sure, half the crowd were probably wondering when the quarterbacks were coming on, but the energy was infectious. The cultural mashup was glorious. International fans arrived expecting traditional football fare and found stadiums pumping out star-spangled scoff snacks. For the US, nothing said the beautiful game quite like a processed platter. And the heat. Games were played in blistering midday sun to please European TV audiences. Players were practically melting on the pitch, while fans in the stands were getting sunburns shaped like replica jerseys. Can you imagine the tan lines if England were there? Nightmare. On the pitch, we got pure theatre. Bebettou's baby rocking celebration, Maradona's last international hurrah, and ultimately a final that ended in the most American way possible, a dramatic shootout, with Baggio launching his penalty straight into the California stratosphere. To this day, 1994 remains the most attended World Cup in history. The total for the 52 games, 3.5 million. That's an average of 68,000 per game. America didn't just survive the invasion of a foreign sport, it birthed Major League Soccer because of it. Beckham, Messi, they don't go if it wasn't for USA 94. Turns out all it took to hook the States on the world's game was a little bit of 90s magic and a whole lot of nacho cheese.
It's a kickoff special live from Miami. talkSPORT's here and England are coming here for a World Cup quarter-final against Norway on Saturday. We are still recovering from one of England's greatest nights ever.
Today was gonna be the day, but they'll never throw it back to you.
Well, at a time when you're normally in the land of Nod, welcome back to the scene of the hand of God.
Unreal. You won't get much better than that. Desire, togetherness, determination.
Saka inside the penalty area, stands up a ball and a diving header is in. And England silence the Azteca with Jude Bellingham on the score sheet.
That's really a big one. That's an extraordinary night.
And he scored again. It's 2 in a minute. Jude Bellingham on the double.
What an incredible minutes play that was for England, Jim.
There's nothing that's not perfect about it for me. A great game, great venue.
Sliding challenge from Kwanzaa was a fair one. Mexican bench are off the bench as one. He's off. Kwanzaa dismissed.
Jim, this game's had absolutely everything.
Flicked on by Harry Kane. How comes the goalkeeper? Could be a penalty to England. It is! Harry, your country needs you here. You've got to put this away. Right-footed, he has!
This is character building.
Jimenez, run up and hit it right-footed. The crowd will tell you, he scored. The lead is back down to 1.
So much to love about this team.
Referee, blow your whistle! He has! England have won! They've laid bare the curse of the Azteca!
You're my wonderwall.
What What a great night that was. Fantastic. And that's why we're here in Miami, because England are here for a quarter-final on Saturday against Norway. By the way, we are on your radio, on the talkSPORT app. We're on YouTube as well, and we're on your connected TV. Let's introduce to you the former England captain, Stuart Pearce. You okay, Stu?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. Very buoyed up.
I bet you are as well. The man calling those shots you just heard in the Azteca at the weekend was Jim Proudfoot, our England commentator. You okay?
Yeah, great, thank you.
It's all been going so well. We're in Miami, and we're loving being in Miami as well. England are in the quarterfinals. We're loving that. It's a great World Cup. And then we've just heard at the end of the previous show, Goldstein and Bent are coming down here. I'm sorry, it's been going so well. I can only apologise. It's not my fault, just apologise. Are you going to be okay?
Well, it gets worse for me. I'm on their show the next 2 days.
Oh,
so
mate.
there you go. No, looking forward to
We're
it.
not,
to
are
be
we?
fair.
So
I'm on a plane to Kansas as soon as we finish here. Get out of the way.
listen, it was sensational on the weekend at the Azteca. First of all, Jim, the Azteca itself was amazing. What a venue that was. And for England to do what they did in that venue, given the history, was extra special.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the certainly 5 or 6 most iconic venues in world football for everything that it's had in the past, the World Cup finals that it's had there. Such a shame that it's not going to have the World Cup final this time round there. I think that would be fitting of this tournament, although clearly there are political influences at play that have made sure that the final is going to be in the United States. But we got there very early. We were concerned about potential roadblocks, the difficulty of being able to get in. So we got to the stadium about 7 hours before kickoff, which turned out to be 8 hours before kickoff. But what it did do, it gave us the opportunity to sit there and take it all in an almost empty stadium. There were some police, some stewards around, certainly no fans at that stage, and the place was steeped in history and tradition. It is a complete rebuild. It's had 4 or 5 rebuilds over its 60-year life, and yet there were some parts of it that were still what you would have hoped for, I think. Erratic step height, for instance. It was, you had every chance of rolling an ankle trying to nip down the stairs to get out. The ramps were in places falling apart, but it was a wonderful, wonderful venue. So it was a real privilege to be there, and then we end up seeing a game like the one that we saw, which was as good a game of football as I think you could ever wish to see, let alone the context of it, being for a place in the quarterfinals, and England already knew by that stage that Brazil had been knocked out, so the stakes had got even higher. And it was against the Mexico side that had only lost 2 out of 88 competitive home games in that stadium over 60 years. So everything combined, it really was one of the all-time great nights. I think that every England fan that was there would feel the same way that we did.
Oh, it was memorable. There's no question. And I would say for a lot of us, it was our #1 memory when it comes to England. Let's hear from Thomas Tuchel, who spoke to talkSPORT's Faye Carruthers about writing another incredible chapter in England's history.
That's really a big one. That's an extraordinary night and a huge night, and very, very important for us. So now it's full steam ahead. I think we overcame the grind now. The moment in the tournament, round of 16 and round of 32, where it's just the most important that you overcome it, that you stay and you stay in the tournament. Now comes quarterfinal. Now you see the end of the tunnel, and now from the quarterfinal, every team can win it. We're in the last 8. That's top, and it's full steam ahead now.
Thomas Tuchel speaking to talkSPORT's Faye Carruthers after that victory over Mexico. There were so many stories from the game. Just want to touch on this for a second. You could write a book in about 5 volumes of all the stories around the game. One of them, I noticed in the Mexican media today, actually, they were talking about what if Raul Jimenez's overhead kick had gone in. I mean, I don't know if that place would have actually fallen apart with the noise of reaction had that goal gone in. Big Dan Burn got in the way, thank goodness, and we'll never know. But it's just one of those sliding doors, what-if moments. That would have levelled it up. They'd have probably had momentum, 11 against 10 as well. It's a big, big moment in the game. But then, Stuart, there were so many big moments in the game.
Yeah, it's fair to say that Dan Burn won't be a cult figure in Mexico, you know. Some block, I've got to say, the bravest block you'd ever get. He's led with his face, you know what I mean? As you would expect from Dan Burn, his reputation goes before him, you know, so just incredible. But then you could also say moments earlier, our third goal coming just after the sending off when we were flat, and all of a sudden, a couple of minutes later, we end up getting a penalty and making it 3-1, which I think if we hadn't have got that goal so quickly, that would have been another sliding door moment, like the Dan Burn block on the overhead kick. But I've got to say, we thought there was a fantastic goal from Cape Verde. Their equaliser against Argentina was outstanding and memorable and will be for years to come. I think if Jimenez goal that overhead kick would have ended up going in the back of our net to make it 3-3. Wowee, that would have been talked about for years, Jim.
Yes, it would have been. I mean, it would have been an astonishing goal. And 3-1 to 3-3 with 10 men, and then still, 6-7 minutes of stoppage time plus another 30. I couldn't have made a case for England at that stage. And that's not to denigrate them or to insult them at all. It's just the reality of how the flow of the game was. England couldn't afford to concede one. They, I believe, would have gone out. And it's not just that moment, that brilliance from Dan Burn. The Jude Bellingham block in the first half, where all the momentum was with Mexico. He scored his 2 goals, but Mexico have already pulled one back through Quinones, and then Cesar Montes, the centre-half, at the far post. He's got time. He's brought the ball down on his right thigh, and all he's got to do is make contact and knock it towards goal, and he has to score. And Jude's coming from nowhere. You watch the replay, Montes is bringing the ball down. Jude's not even in the shot, and yet there he is, flicks it away with his right foot, puts it out of play for a corner. And I think that was the same. Had 2-0 become 2-2 there, it would have been really difficult for England, bearing in mind they would have blown a 2-0 lead. They would have been 2 up with 7 minutes to go to half-time and not gone into half-time ahead. That would have had a massive psychological impact on them. So there were moments throughout the game that just combined to make it what it was. And as we've said before, it's like watching an England greatest hits performance, wasn't it? The resolution that you've seen in some other games that they've shown, you know, that game in Italy, one in Turkey in '97 and '03, and then the attacking flamboyance, the defensive brilliance, is everything.
It was. There is some news from the England camp today. That is that Mark Gahey, Reece James and Declan Rice didn't train with the main England squad on the grass. They've got individual programmes going on in Kansas City with the England camp. Is that a concern for you, Stuart?
What we on now? Wednesday. We got till Saturday. I think they'll be wrapping these players up in cotton wool. The physical side of it is in place. We're well into the tournament now. So, no, if there's no training, then collectively the group are not together tomorrow, and any individuals that are not involved in that, because quite often a lot of your technical work will get put in place 2 days before the game rather than the day before. The day before is normally, you know, we might select the team, you might do some set plays, a little light session, but in the main it's that Thursday that the technical stuff needs to be put into place more so.
Declan Rice training on his own, how big a concern is that? Just say it is something a little bit more serious. How big a problem would it be if he's not available for Norway?
He's one of our better players, so you obviously don't want anyone to be missing from that. But listen, if you said to me now, right, Declan's going to have to miss this game, but he'll be back for the semi-final and a potential tougher task, I would. Or do you want him back for this one with a question mark on the next one? I would leave him out for this.
Really? Is that not English arrogance? I didn't expect this from you. What's going on?
No, it's not arrogance. What we're saying is you're coming to me and saying, I've got a player here. We're surmising, OK? Yeah. We've got a player here in Declan Rice. If he plays on Saturday, you've got a chance of breaking him down. What do you do, Mr Manager? I turn round and say, if there's any doubt at all, I would leave him out and step him down. Any doubt. But I always used to say as a player to the physios, and if I play them or if I play myself, will I do myself long-term damage or breakdown? If they say no, you should be all right, I always play. Always.
I look back at the group stage and we were in a very similar position. That England had played the first 2 games. Decker picked up a yellow card and so was rested from the third game, the match against Panama, because they didn't want him to be suspended for the first knockout game. Now, I'm not dismissing Norway's chances of beating England 1 iota by saying this, but I wouldn't be surprised if they played it the same way again. They can't afford Rice to be suspended from a semi-final if England were to get there. And against Norway, the balance of the midfield, where if you got Elliot Anderson but you have Jude Bellingham and Morgan Rogers both starting, that balance makes a lot more sense for this game than it would, say, for a subsequent game against Argentina. So it wouldn't surprise me if it happened that way round, and if Declan Rice wasn't 100% fit, that maybe they did leave him out of the starting lineup. You've still got other options. You could bring Kobbie Mainoo in. Now, Kobbie hasn't started a competitive game since the first one after Gareth Southgate left that Ireland away game under Lee Carsley. So I think it's 18 competitive internationals that England have played without Mainoo in the starting lineup. So that would make it feel as though it was unlikely to go that way. But it wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't take a chance. I think the yellow card could be a factor in that.
Very interesting. I wonder what other people feel about that. You're listening to World Cup Kickoff here on talkSPORT, live from Miami, with me, Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce, former England captain, and talkSPORT's England commentator, Jim Proudfoot. Up next, we're going to be focusing on Jude Bellingham and his incredible performances, really, at this tournament so far. And I've got a question for you, right? If you're picking a number 10 from this World Cup and you can only have one, is it Messi, or is it Bellingham, or is there another one? We'll answer that next.
In his Daily Mail column has decided, I think, to take a bit of a swing at how we have reacted to that Arsenal Freudian slip there, that England result the other night. And he says, let's not confuse drama with quality. England must improve. He's basically dismissed the calls that it was brave. He says, I think we mistake what bravery in football is. We are celebrating players throwing themselves in front of shots as if they have gone to war. And he offers his own interpretation of bravery, which is real bravery is wanting the ball when 80,000 people are willing you to make a mistake. It's showing for possession when everyone else is hiding. It's taking the ball off your mate when he's in trouble, knowing if you lose it, you'll be criticised. That's football bravery, and that's what England need more of if they are going to win this World Cup. In the context of how it made this country feel as well, this feels like quite a miserable take. I know that we need to start looking ahead to Norway and the improvements that we need on the pitch, but for the moment,
100%.
You know, I think
let's celebrate.
Let's celebrate. It's Wednesday.
I totally disagree, Michael Owen. I feel that like players in that atmosphere, you know what I mean? Like everyone's talking about the altitude. You've got 80,000 Mexican fans. I think it is heroic in a way of like you getting on the ball, Jude Bellingham getting on the ball, Dan Burn throwing themselves up in front of shots, doing that for your country, knowing how much football means to this country. People are going through a tough time. It's not the best state at the moment of the country. And those players, I think, like hold themselves in a high manner because that's what you want to see from your team. How many times have we been in tournaments where, oh, you're playing against Mexico away. Oh, okay, we don't want to turn up. Oh, you know, some players crumble. Every player, even the subs that come on, they perform. So I think it was fantastic.
With Jude Bellingham on the score sheet 9 minutes before half time, and he scored again. It's 2 in a minute. bring on the Norwegians in Miami. Jude Bellingham on the double.
How good has Jude Bellingham been at this tournament? Why are you two looking at me like that? What's going on?
Well, you appear to have grown a pair of sunglasses over the last 2 or 3 minutes.
We're in Miami, okay? So,
yeah.
And people wear sunglasses in Miami, and there's a lot of lights in here. There's sunshine outside. What are you laughing at, Pearce?
Well, you got your jacket on as well. Pete, he's trying to convince us people wear shades in Miami. We get that. And he's got a blazer on out in the sunshine as well, you know.
Don't wear shades indoors. I mean, that's the...
Right. You two are big on your 80s culture, right? You remember Miami Vice. This is Don Johnson. Okay.
Oh, I knew you reminded me of somebody.
Yeah, Tubbs. Yeah, I can see that nickname now.
I'm giving it the Miami look, and I'm sticking with the Miami look as well. So, marks out of 10 for the Miami look?
By your standards, marks out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. I'd give him what he normally gives
Quite pleased with
our
that.
England players.
Yeah.
Marks.
Quite
3
happy
out
with
of
that.
10.
Jordan Pickford, great game, one of his best 3.
Did he get 3 in the marks out of 10? No, he didn't. He got 9, actually. A little bit better with his distribution, might have got a 10. There was a 10 given. It was to Jude Bellingham, who is having a great World Cup. I don't think there's any question about that. And I asked that question before. If you're picking one number 10 from this World Cup, is it Messi or is it Bellingham? Or is there another one who might get your number 10 spot? So who would it be?
For me, I would ask the question, do you see Messi as a number 10 at this World Cup? As it, not the physical number on his back.
Yeah,
we're talking
position.
about the positional.
Yeah.
I think he plays more up the pitch. They give him chance to relax and whatever. But a complete all-round number 10, I would say Bellingham without a doubt.
The only one that I would put up against him in an attacking context at the moment, and I don't think he's as good, but I think he's worthy of a mention, is Michael Olise, who I think has been fantastic. And I think that he has outperformed all expectations away from France and in France as well. I don't think that they were anticipating that he was going to be able to have this kind of influence in that team. But what you don't get from Olise, you get from Jude, and that is the work off the ball, the ability to be able to play that little bit deeper if necessary. You know, we're talking about Declan Rice and the question mark over him, with him not training today or taking a full part in training. You know, Jude Bellingham can sit back in a deeper position in the midfield, which isn't something that Olise can do, although he's got a greater ability off the flank. So I would say that Olise is worthy of a mention, but I'm going with Jude.
I think as well, the sign of a really good number 10 is complemented by the what he's got behind him and to the side of him. And I think we've got really good balance, to be fair. You know, with our strongest midfield 3 is Henderson, Rice and Bellingham, which we know. And to be fair, there's a lovely balance between all 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, it seems we've got that midfield right. Let's hear from Jude Bellingham, who spoke about the squad needing to embrace the pressure they're under.
100%. I'm aware of the responsibility. I'm aware of the pressure that I carry along with all the other players. You know, it's each player has a different responsibility on the pitch in terms of their roles. But you know, I know what I can offer to the team. But make no mistake about it, we've got 26 lads there who could do exactly what I just did tonight. I'm convinced of it, and I hope that a win like this can give them that same conviction that they're top players in there. We shouldn't fear anyone. We shouldn't wait 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes to realise that we're a very good team. So I hope that this win instills that belief in the squad, because they deserve to feel that way about themselves.
One thing I find really interesting is the Bellingham cost over 100 million, Rice, Anderson all cost over 100 million. So should we be surprised at how well the England midfield is doing? Should there be that expectation of them being contenders for a World Cup? They cost a lot of money. They're very good players. So we should have that expectation, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I think we should. I think there's an inflated Premier League market, or European market, I would say, for the costings there. But you look at that, and they're all outstanding players, no doubt about that, and probably worthy of the price tag in some ways. I mean, I do bulk every time I hear a plus £100 million price tag go out there, but that's the nature of the market at the moment.
I thought it was a really interesting comment that Jude made there about waiting 50, 60 minutes before realising that they have that superiority and can beat opposition. Now, the game against Mexico, it was always part of the game plan because of the altitude, that they were going to just try and get through that first hydration break. on a level playing field, hold things tight. They knew that Mexico were going to come out at them quickly. That won't be the case against Norway. And England's performances in the second half of games, by and large, has been better than in the first. And that is something that needs addressing. If you're looking for ways that England can launch further improvement going into the Norway game and then hopefully one or two beyond that, then I think that is something. I think Jude hit upon it there, that they need to come out and show that same kind of ability in the first half, starting games, taking it to the opposition that perhaps hasn't been there so far, and he will know that he's a man that can drive that.
I think going back to your Bellingham question about is he the best, sometimes when we're involved from England's point of view, England-centric, sometimes you have to get a view from outside our camp against an opposition. What do you think of what you've just seen against us, and get a sort of almost a clinical report of England from a Mexican? And we had a couple of people come up to us, Mexican journalists, and absolutely raving about Jude Bellingham, you know, saying you've got a world star there, he's a superstar, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it pays to go outside your circle of friends to get an opinion. You need an opinion on them glasses, not just from your circle of friends, but from the world.
You call yourself friends?
Well, loosely speaking. But you know what I mean? Sometimes you get an opinion from outside that makes you sit up and listen a little bit more and think, oh, probably hadn't seen that angle of it, or didn't realise you really revere this player or that player within the group.
Yeah, this Mexican commentator could not have been more effusive in his praise, and he said that he thought it was the best individual performance he had seen by any player at this tournament, and he was amazed at just how good he was seeing him in the flesh.
So I must tell you this as well. On the odd occasion, very odd occasion, sometimes we've got our hands on the opposition have left in their dressing room West Ham, and a synopsis of West Ham when we played against teams, you know what I mean?
Scouting notes, things
Scouting
like that.
notes, exactly. And you've looked, and it's incredible. They pick up things that you think they find him a threat in our ranks, you know what I mean? It's quite strange. And it's quite good to get an outside opinion, a critique of what you're doing.
Sorry, go on.
So I was going to say, so what you're suggesting there is that you have players playing for you at West Ham that you didn't think were remotely a threat to the opposition, and that you were just filling up the numbers with some of the names on the team sheet. Is that what you're saying?
If that's what you believe by me saying that, you're absolutely correct, yes. And we thought, how do they find him a threat, you know what I mean? Maybe we're undervaluing these people, you know, because you're so used to them, and you come to a stage where you're looking at their weaknesses rather than their strengths.
Do you know, I think it's exactly what's happened with Jude Bellingham. I think that we've focused on some negatives with Jude Bellingham, and understandably so. There have been some negatives with Jude, but I think in the midst of all that, we've lost sight of just how brilliant a footballer he is. When there were some articles, I'm talking generally about the media, it's not something I like to do because there's lots of different individuals in the media have different opinions, but there were some articles saying leave Jude at home, don't have him in the squad. And imagine that now. And we were of the opinion that Morgan Rogers was probably going to start, or some of us were, ahead of Jude Bellingham. But now that seems absurd. Jude Bellingham has been so good at this World Cup. It seems inconceivable that he was never going to be in the team, never mind not in the squad. But yeah, you're right. There were some articles in the Mexican press, actually, the day after saying, yeah, Bellingham and Kane, absolute world superstars, and England have got a real big chance of going on to win it. Well, we hope so. You're listening to World Cup Kickoff here on talkSPORT, live from Miami with me, Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot. Up next, we'll be taking a look back at Argentina's incredible comeback against Egypt, controversial comeback against Egypt, with the South American football expert, Tim Vickery.
You know, the idea it's a clear tournament has been fixed. I think that's a bit powerful. Let's have it right. Because at the end of the day, if you were fixing the tournament, you'd keep Brazil in it, surely. You're fixing the tournament, you'd try and keep them in it. If you want worldwide viewings,
yeah,
which and advertising and money and all that and revenues and fixing it for the right reasons so the superpowers are inside the competition.
Well, we can evaluate the stupidness, but we can dissect the stupidity of individual statements. But we're talking about the premise of what.
I don't think that's stupid. I think it's harsh. I don't think it's a stupid comment. I think it's just in the moment. It's got wrapped up in the moment. There's billions of people.
Stupid comment. You can't run around saying.
Simon, there's billions of people.
It's an uninformed, uneducated, unsubstantiated, with no empirical background behind it. Because it's an uneducated view. You can't tell something's fixed unless you know it to be factually the case.
No,
so
I just said his emotions run riot.
But it's a stupid comment because it's not seeded in anything. So what the argument is about and debate is about is whether people should be able to say these sort of things and whether the consequences of it should be far-reaching. And what we're talking about is how people should operate.
I think Simon's right in this one, is he not, Sean? It is clear this tournament has been fixed. Then that guy boards a plane and flies back to Egypt and goes unpunished. I mean, my God, that is conspiratorial.
No, I totally agree. It's too powerful. That part of the statement is too powerful.
Yeah.
The rest of the referee's not fair. We've all said that in different variances down the years. The injustice was clear. I mean, look, the argument going back to, the facts of it as a manager, forgetting that last part of the statement, which is powerful, and you can't forget it, I understand, but let's just, for our question and answer here, forget it. The injustice is the foul, isn't it? They're going, why are you bringing it back to that foul? Why are you allowing that foul to create such a moment in a game and bring it back for their goal? The goal that was disallowed.
But the irony of it is, if you interviewed a referee, right, and a referee went out and said, these clowns are unfair, the players cheat, the managers harass and abuse us on the side, they'd be outraged.
What is the World Cup's most controversial moment? Hurst's goal, which definitely was a goal, Zidane's headbutt, Ronaldo's hell scare in '98? Nah, it's obviously Maradona's hand of God. Mexico City, 1986. England are set to take on Argentina in the World Cup quarter-finals. Both sides have won their group, and both are well fancied to lift the trophy. This game means more. Just 4 years on from the end of the Falklands War, and the hatchet has very much not been buried. It's a physical match, with Diego Maradona taking the brunt of a strong-handed approach from England's defenders. Despite a few early chances from England, Argentina are well on top, but luckily for the Three Lions, Peter Shilton's having a good day between the sticks. At half-time, it's goalless. 6 minutes after the break, the ball was played to the edge of the area. Steve Hodge sliced his clearance, and it headed back towards his own goal. Up went Maradona's left hand, and he punched it into the net. He wheeled away in celebration, urging his teammates to join him, while the England team was furiously surrounding referee Ali bin Nasser of Tunisia. Even decades later, Peter Shilton hadn't forgiven Maradona. Argentina won 2-1 and went on to lift the World Cup trophy. I mean, without the hand of God, we might never have got the song Three Lions. But we'd have another World Cup.
Welcome back to World Cup Kickoff live from Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce, former England captain, and our England commentator on talkSPORT, Jim Proudfoot, with me for the show this evening. Your time, it is afternoon here in Miami, 5 hours behind you. Joe Shannon there on the commentary of what was a sensational game. Egypt 2-up against Argentina, and the world champions came back to win 3-2 with a brilliant header from Enzo Fernandez in injury time. Let's bring in our special guest, Tim Vickery, South American football expert, is with us. Tim, how you doing?
Yeah, very well. What a shame that you've taken off those dark glasses, Adrian. You were looking just like someone out of the Blues Brothers, and I was thinking Maximum RESPECT to you. How are you, mate? You're right.
Thank you very much. I may put them back on mid-interview, so don't be shocked. Don't let it put you off your stride if I do put them on and you're suddenly a little bit surprised by it. Let's talk about the game. What an incredible game it was. Need to talk about that goal that was disallowed. Egypt had a goal disallowed. I mean, it was from... Sorry, go on, Tim.
No, that was a technical gremlins. That wasn't me, mate.
Oh, my apologies. Just on the goal that was from the other end of the pitch and going up and scoring, and yet it gets pulled back for a foul, a non-existent foul, a controversial situation. What was the reaction in Argentina?
I don't think... I think people in Argentina have suddenly discovered that they love VAR. There's a lot of resistance to it in Argentina, not least because you can't get away with some of the things they always used to get away with, you know. But suddenly VAR has become very, very popular. Personally, trying to be neutral, obviously I follow the South American teams. I don't have a great deal of problem with the decision because it is the start of the counter-attack. And it's not a light foul, it's a stamp. And the referees have been very hard on stamps during the course of this tournament. So I tend to the view that the right decision was made. And I also think that however much technology and, you know, the refereeing is always going to be controversial in football because so many decisions are borderline decisions. Really, maybe the best qualified opinion that we can get on this matter is someone who's been out there and done it in big tournaments, Stuart Pearce. So I wonder what you, Stuart, made of that particular decision.
I think there was definitely a touch, and it was all part of the same phase of play for the goal. So it didn't get sort of broke up, so there was a switch of play from one team to another, then it was pulled right back. So I can see why it was chalked off. The other side of that is as well, when you come to a World Cup, you can't be surprised that there's such a big spread of decisions, you know, from one game to the next, because in the Premier League we got in the main all English referees, and you see decisions that vary from one week to the next. So in world football, when you've got referees from all over the world refereeing with different sort of standards of tolerance in many ways, it's interesting. But I think there probably was a touch, and trouble is players do go down quite cheaply nowadays. They do try to buy free kicks. They plant their feet and fall down on occasion, and I think it frustrates the fans in many ways. Certainly the fans in England. I don't know whether the fans abroad are a little bit more tolerant of that type of play, but you hear the people bemoaning it on a common basis when it's the opposition doing it, but seem to tolerate it when they're their own players. But I can understand why it was pulled back. There was a slight touch on the foot.
One of the things that has frustrated the Egyptians, Tim, is the fact that Argentina themselves scored a goal against Austria early in the tournament in one of the group games. There was a foul by Alexis McAllister on Schlager, which they say was very similar. And they're pointing at an inconsistency, feeling that Argentina have had the rub of the green in both decisions. What's your take on that, and what's been the perception in South America about that alleged inconsistency?
I think Stuart has just made the point. You're going to get inconsistency. I grew up with a kind of Brian Clough mentality. The referee's right, even when he's wrong. Let's get on with the game. Let's score more goals than the opposition. Personally, I think Egypt have so many more interesting questions that they should be asking than this one, which, for all its validity, I think Egypt should be asking, well, how come Argentina had 20 shots to our 4 or 5? And especially, this is the big one for me, how comes Egypt couldn't tactically deal with Lionel Messi when he moved his position in the last 15, 20 minutes? Because that changed the game. That's the game changer. Messi had a frustrating day, and he's trying to dribble through the middle, and he's trying to play these little 1-2s through the middle, and you're thinking, yeah, he hasn't got that little kick of acceleration. 120 minutes against Cape Verde have taken the edge off his game. He's not going to do it through the middle. So what does he do? The big player that Argentina are missing in this competition is Di Maria, who retired from international football 2 years ago. No width. There's no width. They're getting a little bit from down the left side. They created some chances down the left side, especially first half with Tagliafico getting forward. But down the right back, neither of the right backs are 100% fit. They're not really getting anything from down there at all. What does Messi do? He becomes Di Maria, and he goes out and plays from that side, and he changes the game from that side. It wasn't just the goals, it was other chances that he created. And I think Egypt would be far, far better advised just to think, hang on a minute, a change was made there. We didn't react to the change, and that's why we lost the game.
We know how important that Messi is for Argentina, and there's every chance that if a goal or an assist is coming, it's coming through him. Do you think, and I'm rolling the clock back to yesteryear, people used to man mark, and do you think there might be a stage where that comes back in vogue in football, that might do something of that nature to stop him in games going forward, even at this tournament?
Well, perhaps. When it has been a World Cup, and just look at the scoring charts, when most of the really big players have turned up and scored lots of goals, haven't they? There aren't many you've kind of missed out, and we're still waiting for Lamine Yamal. He's got a few more games left, and he's not 100%. Maybe he's getting better, but the big stars are turning up. So that obviously puts the onus on the other side to find a way to neutralise them. But again, turning the clock back, Stuart, 40 years ago, Germany did this in the final, West Germany as it then was, against Diego Maradona. And Maradona, like Messi, so clever. What's he do? He takes Mateus where Mateus doesn't want to go. He opens up the space, and it's his pass that creates the winning goal for Burruchaga. So the great player can find a solution to that, the intelligent player. And Messi is, I mean, his old mate, Javier Mascherano, played with him for so long for Argentina and Barcelona. He used to say, all players are controlled by the game. Messi controls it. It's as if he's watching the game from the best seat in the house. So you do that to him, and he will come up with a response which will find another way to damage your defence.
Let me ask you about what the Egypt manager Hassan Hassan said. He said that perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. You obviously would refute that, but it's a widespread opinion that FIFA would rather have Messi in the competition.
As long as football's been football, I think the key decisions have tended to go the way of the bigger side. Maybe it's almost a little bit like boxing. You've got to beat the champion to become the champion. It's a tendency that if you're the weaker side, you've got to be prepared for that a little bit. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And Argentina have, I think there's no doubt about it, they have had the rubber to green with decisions. But as I say, you can only control what you can control. And the Egyptian manager can't control the refereeing. But you're 2-0 up with 11 minutes of normal time to go. And you defend extremely badly against Messi. And you lose the game in large part because of that. There are always, I know it gets lots of clicks and lots of attention, ramping up the controversy, but there are always more interesting things to talk about in terms of what is actually going on the field. And in that respect, I think in the last 15, 20 minutes, Egypt reacted extremely badly. Now, that's what the coach is there for. The coach is there to keep a clear head at the time that the game is going crazy, and to make the adjustments and take the decisions at the time when everyone around him is losing his head. And it seems to me that the Egyptian coach has not done that. And that's one of the reasons that his side has been knocked out. And I would argue that's a bigger factor in Egypt being knocked out than the refereeing.
We come to the last 8 in the tournament now, and we got one South American team in that 8. Yeah. Are you surprised at that in any way, shape or form?
Well, I'm very surprised that Brazil fell so early. Very surprised. It's by no means a vintage Brazil team, but in the heat of New Jersey on a summer afternoon, you expect them to get past Norway, and they could have done. It was a game where I still can't believe that I witnessed this. Still can't believe that I saw one of the all-time worst substitutions by one of the all-time great coaches, because he loses the game the moment he brings Neymar in. I've watched a lot of Neymar this year, and he hasn't got it. He really hasn't, and he hasn't got any better. The knee injuries and perhaps stuff I hear from the grapevine from working with Brazilian players, the lifestyle maybe, just hasn't got the same balance. It used to be, I know this will be sacrilege for many, but it used to remind me so much of George Best in the way that he could move at 45 degrees of such flexibility. Try to do that now, he falls over. He's so rigid, so slow. Just couldn't believe that he brought him on. It's not just the fact that he brought him on. He took the structure away from his own team. Put Neymar right up front because he can't play wide, because he can't come back. Pushed Vinny and Hendrick to the flanks further away from the goal, which you don't want. Lost any hope of pressing from the front and weakened his defence down his right, the Norwegian left. And suddenly Norway can get proper ball, proper service into Holland, and he doesn't need very much to do a lot with it. But it is extremely disappointing. And Colombia, I thought, shaded the game against Switzerland, a disappointing game. I thought they shaded it. They were the side that wanted to win it. Colombia have a problem in not scoring enough goals. They were terrific against Portugal. It was a 0-0 draw. They were even better against Ghana. They only won 1-0. They couldn't quite find the goals when they needed it. Maybe they were a little bit too cautious and didn't go for it enough. And then it's the penalty shootout. And, well, Stuart, you know this. I can't believe anyone likes penalty shootouts. I always think that, the people who like penalty shootouts are those who, when they were kids, used to, rip the wings off butterflies or something like that, because it's so cruel. So we could, on another day, have had 3 South American sides in the last 8. The margins are so fine, aren't they, between who goes through and who goes home?
In all honesty, I love a penalty shootout. Maybe that's because I was wicked to butterflies as a kid. Is that what you're suggesting?
Stuart, you're a stronger man than I will ever be.
Confession time from Stuart Pearce. Tim, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Tim Vickery, our South American football expert, and basically saying Egypt should have done better. Can't blame the referee and can't blame FIFA for that. You're listening to World Cup Kickoff here on talkSPORT live from Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce, Jim Proudfoot with me.
What did you think of Cristiano's performances at this World Cup?
Well, listen, to be honest, take away the performances. I'm just on because I'm annoyed at Gabby for calling him a disgrace, to be honest. I think it's bang out of order. I think what he's done in his career, he's earned the right to be there.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
How's he not earned the right? How's he not earned the right? He scored 28 goals last season. He's 41, Gabby.
So?
What age did you retire? What age did you retire?
What age did you start playing professional football yourself, mate? Yeah, pipe down.
Me, mate.
Pipe
Don't
down.
worry about me, mate.
Don't go there, mate, when you haven't kicked the football in your life, okay? Settle down.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
I know what it's
Settle
about.
down.
Don't worry about that.
Settle down.
No, you're a disgrace for calling him a disgrace.
No problem.
Honestly,
No,
it's unbelievable.
look, in fairness, Jack, we stood up for Cristiano. He said he had a wonderful, marvellous career. Nobody earns the right to play at a World Cup finals at 41 just because what you've achieved in the past. No one stops time. And you could see him last night. I mean, he was doddering around in attack. He could not raise a gallop. Time has caught up with him.
Jack still wants him started in the next World Cup as well.
Absolutely right. He's still producing, but there's loads of top. No, I'm saying Messi walks about, but he's still producing at the World Cup, which is fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But to say that he's not earned the right, he hasn't. He is a phenomenon.
But he's not anymore.
41 years of age.
But he's not anymore.
Unbelievable. You know how hard it is to keep yourself in shape.
But he's not anymore.
Jack,
surely it's not a modelling competition.
Jack,
it's a
he'd
football game.
earned the right to play at previous World Cups, perhaps.
Competition, you'd be nowhere near it, Gabby.
Oh, no, okay. Send us a picture of yourself, mate. Let's rate you out of 10, mate. Welcome back to World Cup Kickoff live from Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Former England captain Stuart Pearce is next to me now. And our England commentator Jim Proudfoot here as well. And let's round up all the latest World Cup action on talkSPORT with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Daily Tournament Roundup on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Joining us in the studio here in Miami is the Daily Mail Sports, Charlotte Daly. Sorry, got your name totally wrong there. Charlotte Daly. You look like, I've followed your social media, you look like you're having too much fun at this World Cup.
Honestly, it's been absolutely amazing. I think I've lost all concept of what time it is, what date it is, what state I'm in. My suitcase has lost a wheel. I think I need to learn to love coffee, but it's just, a privilege to be here and be covering it.
Learn to love coffee. What's that about?
I don't drink hot drinks.
What?
Yeah, I know. And every time I say that, everyone looks at me like that. I can't drink coffee.
We don't drink alcohol when everyone's looking at us, especially on the talkSPORT team. As
well,
we're
that's
weirdos.
a lie, because I have been out with some of the talkSPORT guys before, and I can tell you what they can drink.
Yeah, we're the business end of the operation.
Exactly.
Don't worry about that. But we drink your coffee for you, so yeah.
We're the ones that soberly dig them out of the hole and lift them up in the morning. Right, best place you've been to so far?
Oh, do you know what? It's such a hard question because of the fact that with a tournament like this, there's so many different places you end up visiting. I would probably say Dallas has my heart a little bit. I first went there for Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul for boxing and just fell in love with it. It's the sort of place you could be walking down the street, looking at Google Maps, trying to figure out where you are, and you bump into a horse with a cowboy on the top drinking a beer. It's like you've been dropped into a movie set. It's unbelievable. But from this tournament, I would say the biggest surprise package I've had was Boston. I absolutely loved it. Don't know if it's because the Scots just took it over, drank the place dry, and it was amazing. The sun was out. It was just a brilliant atmosphere. But I'd say Boston is probably my go-to.
What are we thinking? What's yours, Stu?
I'm going to stay on the Boston theme with you. We went to Fenway Park for the Mumford gig, and to be fair, we love the football, love going to the games, but the periphery stuff you can do is really memorable. And because we enjoy our music, just walking through Fenway Park and the history of it blew me away. You know, you felt as though, well, it was an old school baseball ground with a music gig right in the middle of it. It was just special, you know. Football fans in there as well that had come as part of the gig show and everything. Fantastic.
And they put on a show as well, didn't they?
Brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah. Really good. They
Jim,
do.
Yours?
Well, we didn't see an awful lot of the North East, did we? When we were up there briefly, I like Dallas. I like Dallas as well. I think everything about Texas, when they say it's bigger in Texas, they're not kidding. When you get weather in Texas, it's worse than everywhere else. Where you get donuts in Texas, they're bigger than everywhere else. It was some place, and I think the southern hospitality has been wonderful. I mean, the hospitality has been great everywhere we've been. I would imagine that you found exactly the same. But yeah, being able to do the tourist stuff there, going to Southwark, seeing the book depository, and they're doing the JFK tour. and then going to Fort Worth as well and seeing probably that same horse walking down the street with Alex Crook wearing a cowboy hat on its back as it was groaning and moaning. It was somewhere I've never been before and didn't really know what to expect, but it was so much better than I anticipated.
Did you do any line dancing whilst you were there?
I'm not built for line dancing, Charlotte.
Alex Crook did some line dancing.
No, that's a very good point. When you look at it like that,
with them feet, surely not.
He fell over, didn't he?
No comment. What happens on tour stays on tour. I'm not dishing any details.
I heard he broke a rib, but maybe he's on his way down to Miami, so we'll check that out with him a little bit later on. Let's rattle through these. Best game you've been to so far?
Mexico-England has to be. I mean, the Azteca was just absolutely bouncing. It was also the before, so I went to, there's a bridge leading up to the stadium, and I was under the arches with all the Mexican fans beforehand, and the atmosphere, like they were spraying foam at each other and letting off flares, and it was just full party vibes. And then they brought that into the stadium. When I was working, my laptop and my water bottle were actually shaking because the stadium was bouncing so much. And then the football delivered as well. So the combination of all of it in one, it's one of those where you sit there and you just have to pinch yourself for a moment and go, I was there. I was lucky enough to witness that live.
Do you find it amazing that we were in a stadium and then all of a sudden the rain comes down and they announced there's going to be a late kick-off, and both sets of fans just sung their way through it. It was incredible in the stadium.
Yeah, you could really feel that outside the stadium as well, because normally you would find people will try and take cover under something, or they'd go onto the concourse and kind of set up camp around there, and the atmosphere would die down a little bit. They were out in the rain. They couldn't care less about the puddles. I mean, it was up to my ankles at one point, but they were dancing through it, skipping through it. If anything, I feel like it just galvanised everyone because we were in it together. I was sodden wet by the end of it. People kept saying, have you got to change your clothes? And I was thinking, nope, nothing. But you just loved the atmosphere. You didn't even feel it. It was like it wasn't there.
So is that your favourite moment of the tournament so far? Is there something else that's grabbed you?
Favourite moment of the tournament? I think it has to be watching Messi break the record for being the all-time World Cup goal scorer. Just seeing that again, like being there for history, was just incredible. Journalistically, there's other parts of the tournament that I enjoyed covering, whether that be the riots on the opening game. I went to the England hotel before the Mexico game to see what they were doing outside, trying to keep Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham awake. I went over and did the Pride game as well. So journalistically, there's been a few games that I've enjoyed covering because we've been at the heart of the story, but as a fan, it's got to be Messi.
You've been to more games than Infantino. It's incredible.
Yeah, I know, I'm racking up the air miles. I better get some points at this point.
Are you exhausted?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but just running off adrenaline. I mean, we're so privileged to be out here and be covering it that I can't complain. Like when I've texted my friends going, oh God, I'm knackered today, they just have to check me and go, hold on a second, you're at the World Cup, you're getting to go to these games, you're seeing history. You can't complain.
Couple of questions. Can you sum up the World Cup so far? Is it like, in terms of the greatest that there has been, because the football has been brilliant, and how confident are you that England not just can win it, but will win it?
Has it been the greatest tournament? I think the football has really delivered. There's been lots of games that have surpassed expectations, and a lot of underdog stories that we love, like the Cape Verde team, is just that story encapsulates what a World Cup can be. There's obviously been difficulties around this World Cup as well, including travel and prices and visas and all of those issues that you wouldn't necessarily get in a different tournament. But yeah, I think it's been brilliant. I've enjoyed it. I think the fans are enjoying it, minus those complications. Do I think England are going to win it? My heart says absolutely. My head is still 50-50 on it. I think after the Congo game, I wasn't so confident because I didn't feel like, one, the heart was there or the performance was there. I think now, having watched them in the last game against Mexico, they left everything out there. Like, look at Jude Bellingham collapsing on the floor at the end. That is belief from a player that surpasses all expectation. Like, you can tell how much he and the team want it. I think the tactical decisions that Thomas Tuchel made at the end were brave, and they paid off. They worked well. He could be the guy to get us through if he continues to make decisions like that fall in our favour. I'm concerned about the injuries, the depth in the squad because of those injuries. But yes, I would like to say I'm very confident that we beat Norway. And I would like to see us go on and lift the trophy. I don't want to get carried away, but something in my head does kind of show me Harry Kane lifting something shiny at the end of the tournament, so
Well,
we will see.
Let's hope so. It sounds like you're not getting carried away, but it sounds like you just don't want this tournament to end.
No, definitely not. I'm not ready to go home. I want to see England go all the way, of course, and selfishly, I just want to watch as much football as possible. So.
And of all the experiences you're having, it's great stuff. Charlotte, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. That was a roundup of all the latest action thanks to Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They're here for it.
Daily Tournament Roundup on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
You're listening to World Cup Kickoff here on talkSPORT, live from Miami with me, Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot, and Carl Walker joins us next.
Trump, who I think I heard say at one stage he didn't know about the red card system, he still suggested
unfair.
that the referee at the heart of this, Rafael Claus, was a bit suspect. He's the president.
These were two great athletes that got tangled up, and this referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past. I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. And I related just that feel. I didn't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do, but and I don't believe he made the decision. I think it was a committee that made the decision. All I did was ask for a review. I didn't say you have to do this. This man is a smart, tough man, Gianni Infantino. He's a smart, tough man, and his stock has gone through the roof because the job he's done has been great.
See, now we have the length and breadth of it, right? Now we know the full length and breadth of it, right? So now we know the full length and breadth of it. We can eviscerate it because it deserves evisceration, right? When you listen to that, you think to yourself, it's absurd. But again, it takes me back to the position. And Trump says absurd things, but no one disputes the fact that he says lots of absurd things. And that in the context of sports.
He's the president.
But people say lots of things. Lots of people say lots of silly things, right? But you'd expect him to say something better than this. But in a sporting context, he doesn't clearly know what he's talking about. But I tell you who does know what he's talking about is that snivelling sycophant that runs FIFA. He does know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And when you've got somebody that's running the game that doesn't uphold the values of the game and doesn't uphold the integrity of the game and then tells you that you're all stupid and there's nothing for you to see here, right? That's when people should have concerns. Forget Trump. Look at Infantino.
Just because you're a football legend doesn't mean you totally light up the World Cup. These guys are just three who prove that. The struggles of some great names makes the record of Miroslav Klose even more impressive. It was in 2002 in Japan and South Korea that a 24-year-old Klose put the world on notice. At his first World Cup, he scored a hat-trick in Germany's opener against Saudi Arabia. He scored another 2 at the tournament and, well, what do you notice? Yep, 5-headed goals. The only time someone's done that in World Cup history. Germany lost in the final, but Klose had certainly raised some eyebrows. Klose scored another 5 goals and won the Golden Boot in 2006, although Germany lost in the semi-finals at their home World Cup. Totes emotion for die Fans. By 2010, Klose was playing for Bayern Munich, where they clearly instilled an I'm not scared of anything attitude. African and English safaris look a bit different, don't they? Brilliant. Anyway, Klose returned from his excursion, got a goal against England and was on the score sheet in the quarter-final against Argentina before Germany were undone by a pack of hungry Spaniards. 4 years later, Klose was 36, but he was picked for one last World Cup, much to the German public's frustration. He hadn't had a stellar season for Lazio, but Germany didn't have many out-and-out strikers at the time. Klose, though, delivered again. He scored in the groups, and then in the semi-final, he had his record-breaking moment. Klose got Germany second in that incredible 7-1 victory over Brazil, his 16th, a new World Cup record. In fact, to really twist the knife, he snatched it from R9 in front of the Brazilian fans. Klose started the final, and his replacement, Mario Götze, well, you know what happened in extra time. And with that, Klose called it quits, taking with him the record for the most goals in tournament history and the most match wins in tournament history, as well as 2 bronze medals, a runners-up medal, and that winner's medal. The dream of
I'm Adrian Durham alongside Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot. We are live on YouTube, live on CTV and, of course, on your radio, on the talkSPORT app as well. Carl Walker would join us shortly, but it's going well for Thomas Tuchel, and his best moment was in Mexico City Sunday night. He's made bold decisions on and off the pitch.
Thomas Tuchel has, in the last few minutes, been officially confirmed as the new England men's head coach.
We need a top manager, and Thomas Tuchel definitely is that.
This is the most exciting managerial appointment the FA have made since Terry Venables.
Tuchel's big question is not when we beat Latvia 5-0 away. Fantastic we go and do a job like that. But we did it previously under Gareth Southgate as well.
We want to excite, says Thomas Tuchel. Go on then.
Marcus Rashford makes it England 4, Croatia 2. Kane on the turn. Oh, what a goal! And England had their noses in front for the first time in these knockout stages.
He's made a big call a couple of times, Tuchel, and let's hope that little bit of genius stays with him.
England have beaten Mexico in the Azteca. They've now got Norway in Miami in the quarterfinals. Mexico 2, England 3.
That's really a big one. That's an extraordinary night and a huge night. Now it's full steam ahead. I think we overcame the grind now.
Thomas Tuchel was proactive. Just get Dan Burn on.
Yeah.
Kane looks like, okay, Morgan Rogers on.
I like him. I think he's got a lot about him, and that's the reasons why he's an elite manager.
Well, Thomas Tuchel is getting all the praise. I mean, it was less so after the Ghana game, and it was a bit muted after squeezing past Congo, but then that happened against Mexico, and I've got to say it's a sensational achievement from England to go to a place where the home side don't lose at altitudes, with those fans, with 10 men, with Raul Jimenez playing out of his skin, which he hasn't done for a long, long time, and they still get through that World Cup tie. So credit goes to Thomas Tuchel because he chose the team, he chose the tactics, he made those substitutions as well, and it feels as well like there's something going on off the pitch in terms of motivating the players. He's also made some big, bold decisions, Stuart Pearce, and I think that that is one of the key things that we have to praise Thomas Tuchel for. Whether they turn out to be the right decisions or not, it will mean there's another debate to go on, but he had some big decisions to make, and he's been making them.
Yeah, as a manager, you're making big decisions all the time. Your team selection's a big decision. You know, who you put in, who you leave out, all those types of things. How he operates off the pitch as well. You just get the feeling from the outside, and when you see him in press conferences as well. He can turn the screw and probably be pretty serious, obviously, but he's also got that twinkle in his eye that draws people to his personality a little bit, which I think's a really good trait to have, you know. So he's a sort that can probably laugh at himself, and I think you need to have that as well, especially in the hot seat that he's in. It's not an easy job, football management, full stop. To be the England manager as well, it's even tougher, but I think he's made some calls, Jude Bellingham not being in and backing Rodgers over the last calendar year, and then all of a sudden that's been turned on its head, and he's, you know, I wouldn't say he's reinvented Bellingham, but he's certainly maybe made him more of a team player, potentially.
I think that's a really interesting point, because it isn't a reinvention, because he already was a very good player, but he was a player who needed managing and a specific method of managing, and he seems to have stumbled on it to get the best out of him. Even when, say, and we all believe that, you know, Trent was one of his best mates, he's not around at this World Cup, but it's still not affected Jude Bellingham's performance so far. So I think that management of an individual player, one of the big things is, you know, when you get into a big job at a big club or an international team, is can you manage the egos? Because there are some big egos. Jude Bellingham's got an ego. It's not even a criticism. It's going to happen. You know, he's got that aura about him. So you have to be able to manage that in the right way so that you get the best out of him on the pitch and off the pitch as well, so he's a good teammate to the rest. Feels like he's doing that. Yeah, it certainly does. Performances speak louder than words in many ways, and his performances have been absolutely sensational at this World Cup, and credit to him for it. You know, he's probably embraced what's gone on in the last year as well, to him and whatever, and some of the noise that goes on. And, you know, I've looked and I've said to you, you know, sometimes I don't like what I see on a football pitch from him, you know, in the early days. I certainly can't level that criticism at him at this tournament. I think he's the way his demeanour's been on the football pitch is a real team player. And you've got to understand, when you talk about managing him in isolation, or egos in a team in isolation, if you don't get that right with him, it doesn't just affect him, it's the other 25 in the squad that look at that and goes, well, OK, why are you treating him like that and not me like this? You know, so you're sending a message out. Every time Tuchel will talk to Beckham or has an interaction with Bellingham, the whole scenario around it, the whole eyes and ears of the rest of the squad and the staff will be looking and saying, how are you treating him?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that very question, because I would imagine in a dressing room environment everybody's a critic, and so if you're a manager, the way that you deal with certain situations, you will be being marked by the other players. So the way that Thomas has handled Jude presumably has earned plaudits and admiration from elsewhere in the dressing room.
I think so. I think Jude Bellingham as a footballer has got respect from the rest of the players for his ability, what he does. You know, his pathway from Birmingham to Real Madrid is quite sensational. There's a film there somewhere, you know, and you've got to admire that. And I've always said the more English players that are playing abroad for the bigger clubs, the better it's going to be for the national team. And I've said that for a number of years now. And I think we're benefiting from the rewards of that, and building St George's Park and enhancing the youth teams. All of that is over the last 8 years or so. And more players nowadays are playing abroad, outside England, to open up their spectrum of hindsight of what it's like, different tactical approaches, living away from the country of their birth potentially. All those types of things have been brilliant. And but as a manager, there's so many more things to consider than just what you do with a bag of balls and a few cones.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting lines of discussion around this World Cup is there's a lot of hypotheticals about what Southgate would have done and what Thomas Tuchel is doing, and people talking about the differences. Oh, Southgate would never have done this. I actually look at the similarities between the two, because I think Thomas Tuchel very respectfully admires the work that Gareth Southgate has done and knows he needs to take it further in terms of winning a tournament, but there was already a fantastic basis there for him to work from.
I think he walked into a job that was fantastic. There's an old saying in football, it's what you leave behind, not what you inherit, it's what you leave behind. And Gareth Southgate, well, from what he inherited compared to where he took our national team and the pride and the buy-in from the media and everything that went with that, is played a percentage in getting us where we are now. And if we're going to have a tilt on the final and win the final, Gareth should get an honorary mention in that. And there's a lot of people out there that will turn around, oh, no, Southgate. And that really irritates me about English culture in many ways, where as soon as the last man goes out the door, it's just criticism of that person that's gone out the door. And football's horrible for that. I really detest that. Sometimes you've got to say, brilliant job under the circumstances, took us a hell of a long way, and it's been part of a building block that's going to take England on to the next level.
The changes that were made in that game at the weekend, where England were down to 10 men, then he went 5-3-1. If Gareth had made that specific change, what do you think the reaction would have been?
That all depends on the final score. You know,
I'm not sure it does, because I think if Gareth makes that change and we'd still win 3-2, I think he gets accused of being negative but lucky. He's got away with it. I think,
maybe, because that's the narrative now. But quite often what people tend to do is wait to see the outcome and then criticism looking backwards. But they're never, ever the one stood in the technical area. They've never been there when the whole country's expectations are weighing on your shoulders, and you, in the heat of the battle, have got to make a judgment call, and it's not easy to do.
Well, Darren Bent is a former England striker. He's, of course, drive god now. He's been in New York with Andy Goldstein this week. They're on their way to Miami as we speak. And Benty said Tuchel is proving that he's a winner.
I think you could quite clearly see every single time something happened, I think Thomas Tuchel was proactive, and that's the problem with Gareth Southgate. He's reactive,
yeah.
And sometimes it's too late.
Great point.
But even with the hydration breaks, you can see Thomas Tuchel going around to everyone. He's so kind of like, right, no, you do this. Every single player is telling him exactly what to do. When something happened to Mexico, he banged straight away. Okay, proactive. Just get Dan Burn on.
Yeah.
Kane looks flat. Okay, Morgan Rogers on. I think Thomas Tuchel deserves a lot of credit for last night as well.
Darren Bent and Andy Goldstein on their way to Miami. Drive will come from Miami tomorrow. What do you make of what Benty said there, Stu?
I think there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. Well, listen, I'm here just to flag wave a little bit for Gareth, because I appreciate the job that he's done over 8 years for England. Also, as well, I'm appreciating at this moment in time the job that Tuchel's done as well. You know, he's made good calls at the moment, how he's dealt with certain individual players over time. His team selection's been reasonably reasonable. We've not blown the World Cup away. Make no mistake about that. From day one to where we are now, we've not blown the World Cup away. But then again, a lot of teams that are here haven't. So we're in the mix. We're in the quarterfinals. We got Norway in town at the weekend. There's an expectation that we win the game. We'll go in as favourites, no doubt about that, and we need to come out of that game with a blue chip semi-final against somebody or other.
There are 40 teams that would love to be exactly where England are now, probably more than that, truth be told, because of the potential pathway for England going forward. But if you look at the 5 games as a whole, where do you think England are in terms of the level of performance? I mean, it's easy to get blown away by what we thought was one of the best games that the three of us have ever seen, one of the best England performances we've ever seen. But Norway in Miami is a very different type of test. So what can you take from that game in Mexico forward to Miami? And where do you think England are on the curve for where you would need to be if you are going to be a potential World Cup winner?
I think if you're asking me that question, I think if you asked Tuchel the same question, he'd say there's more to come. That's my expectation. I would say there's more to come from our level of performance. I said after the game in the podcast that I thought the game in Mexico is going to galvanise a real inner strength in the group. I think they had to fight on many levels. You know, they didn't have to fight and blow a team away and play extremely good football. They had to do that on occasion. They had to dig in when they're down to 10 men. They had to defend stoutly. They had to attack well. They had to take their chances. There was a whole spectrum of things they had to do well in Mexico. The altitude, the home fans, all of those things. And I sat back after that and I thought, wow, this could be the catalyst to give the group that inner strength to say, I tell you what, it's our year now.
One thing I loved about the Mexico game is that there was a plan, and it was they knew that Mexico were going to come at them, and so the plan was to get the ball forward quickly from Pickford up to the other end of the pitch. That happened. It led to goals for England. But when the situation changed in the game, the plan changed. It had to change, but it changed in the right way. He chose to try and defend the leads, and it worked. Now, who knows? If a goal had flown in off a deflection, it's a different story. If Dan Burn hasn't got such an incredible block on that Raul Jimenez overhead kick, as we were talking about earlier, if that flies in, then the momentum is with them. But the fact is they didn't score. England won. That's why we're in Miami, and they're in Miami for a quarter-final. On Saturday, it'll be live on talkSPORT, of course, against Norway. A reminder, if you missed the news earlier, by the way, Declan Rice, Mark Gahey, Reece James, all training away from the main group in Kansas City. They're in their own individual programmes. We're thinking it's all precautionary, wrapping them in cotton wool before the quarter-final. A former England international Carl Walker joins us next.
You know management inside out. Tuchel might just be the 1% difference.
He might well be, but what I'm saying
between
is,
winning it and not winning it.
I need to make this really clear. I am not questioning or doing him down. I'm trying to give you a balanced view of how I see management.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it yet. You only ever judged on what you end up winning, not whether you could have won it. Brendan Rodgers, apart from the slip, would have possibly, well, very nearly could have won the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they don't judge him on the fact that as if he did win it, he didn't win it.
Until England do it.
That's all I'm saying. And I want him to win it. I want the country to win the World Cup.
But the bottom line is this, and we will never know, if Tuchel had been in charge of England at Wembley that night, in the European final, against Italy, you have ended up winning it.
I was there, by the way. I was there. You know, you
changed it. So Simon's point is right, is it not, Sean?
The whole world is watching. Even the most
You change it and you lose, right? You didn't know what you're doing.
Change
it and you win. You do know what
you make a decision.
That is the life.
No. You make a decision. We all know you live and die by decisions. But when something's coming on top and the whole world's watching it and going, we need to change something. We need to change something. We need to change something. Okay, we haven't changed something. They've scored. Now we're going to change something. They've scored. Now it's easy to be a Monday night quarterback. We all know that, right? But the bottom line is that my inherent belief is the reasons why there's elite managers and there's the reason why there's good managers. Right?
None of us have ever had a bad game in here. Simple as that. Bad game.
So you're not football
when you're on the sidelines, and you're under pressure.
Oh, he's coming alive now, Mr. Dyke.
That's when the truth is, really.
Tuchel will only be judged by when those moments come.
Yes.
They haven't come against Ghana.
Which is fair. That's exactly fair.
But when they do come, I'm willing to bet you that Tuchel's credentials and the elite gene that I think that he has, which is the reasons why he's managed PSG, Bayern Munich. Yeah, it's a mentality. It's a mentality. Of course, it's a bloody stupid.
I've got a ginger gene.
Well, yeah, you've got many genes, I suspect.
I have flat genes.
Ill-fitting ones, most of them, I suspect, yeah.
We're live in Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce, former England captain, and talkSPORT England commentator Jim Proudfoot are with me in Miami, where England will play Norway in a World Cup quarter-final at the weekend. We're building up to that, but also reflecting what's happening at Wimbledon, and something sensational is happening at Wimbledon because British wildcard Arthur Ferry beat Flavio Cobolli in straight sets to reach the semi-finals at Wimbledon. Let's bring in Barry Cowan, former pro tennis player, took Pete Sampras to 5 sets at Wimbledon in 2001. Was that 25 years ago, Barry?
I can't believe it. Good evening, everyone.
That's extraordinary. Listen, this is an amazing story. Arthur Ferry, just incredible what's going on. How is he doing this?
I don't think he knows, Adrian. I think you only have to see his reaction after his win against Dimitrov and also today against Cobolli. And what I find absolutely astonishing is here's someone who has no experience of the big time. The centre court a couple of days ago was the first time that he'd played on there, and he handled the big moments better. Dimitrov, I'm afraid to say, just lacked the real belief right at the end. And exactly the same today. Cobolli made the final at Roland Garros a couple of weeks ago, lost in 5 to Zverev. And I think he was shocked, almost underestimated the level of Ferry, who just raced through that match. And in the end, you only have to look at the third set, Adrian, to know that Kaboli lost belief. And with the way he's playing, could he do the unthinkable on Friday? And I saw an amazing stat, actually. So I don't know if you were across Roland Garros, where Halinska, the qualifier, made, she was 114 in the world, and she made the final Roland Garros. And do you know what Arthur Ferry's ranking is? 114. So maybe history's going to repeat itself 2 majors running.
Yeah, that will be incredible. Did you see any of this coming? You've obviously sort of known of Arthur Ferry and seen how he plays, etc. Could you maybe not see this coming, get into the semi-finals, but could you see a big future for him?
No, I don't think anyone could. I don't think anyone could have foreseen what has happened the last couple of weeks. And there are certain moments, and what I find incredible, I'm not comparing to Boris Becker because in 1985, but sometimes you see a player get better, and that's what's even remarkable. He's played better and better and better, round by round, with more on the line. But I think, for Arthur, he comes from good stock. His mother is obviously a former player from France. So here is someone who, what he might lack in terms of size, 5'9", he makes up in terms of athleticism, unbelievably quick, and also tennis IQ. And that was really unsettled Kaboli. And that's what's interesting about Zverev. I mean, Zverev will obviously start as the big favourite, but he has an awkward game that could make life very difficult for Zverev on Friday, which I would presume will be the second semi-final after the Sinner-Djokovic blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, the nation will not be able to wait, Barry. I think you mentioned Boris Becker there, and you can't compare. Boris Becker was 17, and it's a completely different story. However, I think the unexpected nature of it is where there is a similarity in there, and that's an unknown quantity for Zverev as well.
Yeah, I personally didn't think Zverev would go the whole way this tournament because, here is someone that has suffered tough times in the final of majors. Let's be honest, he hasn't had that killer instinct. The one that sticks out was when he served for the US Open on 2 occasions. And he's had to sort of deal with, up until Roland Garros, the best player never to win a major. And from all accounts, leading into Wimbledon, tennis was fine, physically he was fine, but mentally he hadn't really recovered. But he's kind of got better as it went on, and he overturned the head-to-head record against Fritz today, having lost the last 7, although Fritz had a knee injury, I think, after 3 or 4 games. Zverev will start as the massive favourite, but Zverev hasn't always dealt with being the massive favourite. So, the crowd were amazing also, Adrian, today. And the crowd will play a big part on Friday, especially if Arthur starts as well as he did a few hours ago.
Barry, nice to speak to you. It seems as though he's sort of being swept along, Arthur, on the crest of this wave at the moment. Is there a danger in your experience that things could come crashing down and that one morning he wakes up and suddenly he really realises and appreciates the magnitude of what he might be able to achieve? How do you, as a player, put that to the back of your mind?
Yes, that will happen. But let's hope that happens in his next tournament. Let's hope he can just carry it on for a few more days. Tennis has some remarkable stories. Goran Ivanisevic, when he won Wimbledon, you're talking about 25 years ago that my match with Sampras, but that was the year that everything opened for Ivanisevic. Here was someone who had dropped down the rankings. He couldn't play the Queen's. He couldn't barely hold a racket when he played at Queen's on the Monday because he was so worried about would he get a wild card or not. He was out of sorts. Only a mad chef in Gustard had put money on Goran Ivanisevic to win Wimbledon that year. So I think he's retired and bought a boat since. But, for Ivanisevic, that was an incredible story. And Raducanu, a few years ago, who would have thought that was possible? So there are, we think what's going to happen, but we never know until such things materialize. And, I mean, logic says, guys, that Zverev will win in 3, but logic suggested to me that Kaboli was going to win in 3 today.
Did you say that he's 5'9"? Because I only ever associate tennis players with having this physical stature, almost like a swimmer. You know, he must be one of the smallest players in the tournament, surely.
Yeah, he is. I think there's 4 players in the top 100 off the top of my head, and you're absolutely right, Stuart. 5'9", but as I said, moved unbelievably well, so quick. And what he lacks in power, although he takes the ball very early, but what he lacks in power, he makes up in terms of courtcraft. And I think it's a great story because you're absolutely right. Often in Britain, we say, well, you can't make it unless you're 6'3" and you're an unbelievable, athlete. There's 5'9", and he's got other characteristics that make life very difficult. And he's an unknown quantity. I think I want to add that. He's kind of gone through the radar. None of these top players have probably ever seen him play, let alone being on the same practice court as him. So I think he's caught them all by surprise. And if he crashes down in his next tournament in a couple of weeks, who cares? If he potentially makes the Wimbledon final.
Yeah, so you would get resistance maybe in the sports, but especially in the younger days when you look at the physical characteristics of individuals. I was always quite small as a young kid, before I sort of grew up and grew into my body a little bit. So, and certainly in football, probably about 30 years ago, if a small player turned up, he would almost be written off straight away. Would you have that sort of negativity in tennis, or is it more open-minded now?
Well, I think there is part of that. I mean, one of the things that I ever think you should never do with a young player is say what you can't do. It's always about what you can do. And for Arthur, he was not a top junior, but he's a smart kid, and he went to Stanford University, and that is definitely the route for me that all juniors should go to, because 18 years of age, unless you are truly exceptional, then what American University does is it allows you, it's almost like apprenticeship, isn't it? It's playing the under 21s, or second tier, for championship level. But what it does is it allows you to develop physically, and it allows you to be able to develop your game. And Arthur absolutely has had that. So at 23 years of age, this is only his 5th Grand Slam, and he's in a semi-final. He's achieving something that loads and loads and loads of players have never got anywhere near.
Barry, great to talk to you. What a great story. Thank you very much, Barry Cowan.
Enjoy the rest of the World Cup. Come on, England.
Well, you enjoy the rest of Wimbledon as well, and hopefully he'll win it. Arthur Ferry, British wildcard, into the semi-finals at Wimbledon. Incredible story. Listen, loads more still to come. It's World Cup kickoff here on talkSPORT, live from Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot are with me, and we will get Stuart Pearce's 11 to face Norway on Saturday in the quarterfinal next on the show.
I can't believe they're moaning about losing.
No, you're right.
They're moaning about the decisions, and I've seen all the interviews after the game.
Right.
And can someone remind them that they were winning 2-0? Like, you've only got
what is their? I mean, the goal that wasn't given, and it was at 1-0 at the time. What an unbelievable goal! It was one of the best goals you'll see in the World Cup. Team goal down that right hand side, and I think who was it that was fouled? Was it Martinez that was fouled? I can't remember.
It was over in the far corner.
It was in the far corner. Anyway, whoever it was, right? He does step on his toes.
Do you think you should go back to it?
I think the fact that Argentina didn't actually regain possession of the ball, and it was a continuous attack, I think on that occasion, I think it's fair. I think it's a foul.
I know, but like so much has to happen.
Yeah, but
still so much has to happen. He skipped
Yeah, of
past
course.
3 Argentina players. Like
nutmegged one.
He nutmegged one of them, and you kind of look at it and go, "Hold on a minute, right? All right, that is a foul over in the corner, but he's run the length of the pitch, skipped past 3 Argentina players who can't make a tackle, and then they put one across the box and they score. And you go, hold on a minute, you've had 3 opportunities to win the ball back.
Yeah, they have. It was poor.
So how much advantage do you want?
Well, there's no law.
Maybe if you skip 1 tackle, he's run the length of the pitch. Yeah, come on. I don't
hear
know
what
how
you're
that's fair.
Do you know what?
I have got an issue with it.
Do you know what? I absolutely hear you loud and clear, but we both agree it's a foul.
Yeah, okay, but then Argentina might as well just stop playing.
Yeah, well, you can't because the foul's not given.
I know, but if they believe it's a foul and the VAR are going to go all the way back to it, Argentina might as well just stop and go,
I don't know.
Can't score, it don't matter because it's going to go back.
What was
He's gone past 3 players.
Unbelievable run. That's one of the best goals that's never going to stand in the World Cup. Can't think of any more.
World Cup kickoff live in Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce, Jim Proudfoot are with me. We enjoying Miami? We're loving it already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
Exactly. You got the beach, you got the sea, and we're not seeing any of it right now because we're with you on talkSPORT. Stuart Pearce, we want your 11 to face Norway on Saturday in the quarter-final. Who's going to play for England? Who should play for England in your opinion?
Right. No surprises in goal. Jordan Pickford probably had his best game for England in Mexico.
He was your man of the match, wasn't he?
He was. Reviewing that, I'm wondering whether I should have gone with Bellingham. I thought Gordon was outstanding as well, but certainly Pickford outstanding.
I'm glad you picked Pickford because he's had a bit of criticism, and probably justifiably so. So when he's had a great game, let's just highlight that he's had a great game. So I'm happy with
Yeah, that was my thought process. If he's fit, Reece James at right back. If he's fit. We got no Quansah. If he's not fit, I've got a backup plan for you. I think Quansah may have to slide to right back and John Stones come in central. But otherwise, Reece James at right back, Quansah and Gahey keep the partnership together. O'Reilly, no surprises in midfield. Anderson, Rice, Bellingham in the central areas. And I'll probably run out the same 3 forwards as well, Gordon, Saka and Kane. I would say at this stage, very few people would make change for change's sake. You know, I think we've arrived on a fairly consistent group, and I think if Reece James is fit, this is his strongest lineup.
Yeah, get to Reece James in a second. Jim, what we're thinking about John Stones, and he came on, and it's been a weird one, isn't it? He hardly played any Premier League football last season for Manchester City, was in the England squad, then played, then was left out, and we wondered if he was fit. And then he comes back in and makes guest appearances. From what he did, he was part of that defensive effort in Mexico that saw us through to the quarter-final. So he has to absolutely take credit for that. He nearly slid in an own goal towards the end of the game, but it went the correct side of the post as far as we're concerned. But where are we at now? How are we judging his fitness and whether he can actually start a game, bearing in mind what happened in that first game of the tournament for us?
I think all we can do is have faith that Thomas Tuchel is seeing him in every training session will be able to make the right decision. And a lot of it might depend on Reece James's fitness. if Reece James is fit, I've no doubt that he will play at right back, and then it will be the same centre-half partnership. But Thomas will be assessing whether John Stones he thinks is fit enough to play and how many minutes he thinks he can get out of him. And I don't think you can say that you could guarantee it would be 90. I mean, he saw such little club football over the course of this season, but as we've seen before, he's been able to come into tournaments and play nearly every minute of tournaments, even when he's had injury-ravaged campaigns. You sense that this one might be a little bit different, that they're having to wrap him in more cotton wool than they have before. So I think the call really depends on Reece James's fitness. And everything else cascades down from there. So if Reece James is fit, I think John Stones is on the bench. If Reece James isn't fit, then I think Stu's absolutely right that there are no real options. It has to be Ezri Konsa at right back, and then Mark Gahey and John Stones will be the centre-half partnership, and you just hope that Stones is fit enough. From the signs that we've seen, he's not mucking around in the dressing room pretending he's put his shoulder out. It looks as though everything will be okay, and that Stones is certainly available for as much selection as Thomas Tuchel deems fit. But I think it would be a risk to assume you can get 90 minutes out of him at this stage.
Yeah, I've got to say, I was a little bit confused in regard to the usage of John, you know what I mean? Wheel him out in the first game, played the entirety of the first game, and all of a sudden he's just been a bit part player that looked as though you'd be mistaken to think that as he copped an injury and not up for selection. So quite strange in that respect. But I also think putting him on for this game, putting him on at Mexico's no real testament to whether he's going to be trusted to start the next game, because it was the easiest thing in the world to anyone in the back five to do, because you went in and what's your job? You've not got to make decisions, you're not getting exposed up the pitch at all, you're not asking to chase balls in behind you. Stand on the edge of your box and defend. It's the easiest thing in the world. It almost takes all the thinking out of defensive work. You've just got to make sure when the ball comes in the box, you get first contact on that ball or know where the man is you're marking. So it was an easy one for him to come into in many ways. It was a pressure situation, but he's aware of that. He's got enough experience to deal with that.
Declan Rice, by the way, Mark Gahey and Reece James all missing today's group training session in Kansas City. They were working on their individual programmes. We're thinking it's wrapping them up in cotton wool and they should be okay. But intrigued to know what you, the listeners, think of Stuart Pearce's 11 for the Norway game. There's been some incredible calls, actually, since that round of 16 victory against Mexico. And actually before that as well, some ideas that some of you guys have had about which team should be playing. I'd love to know who you think should be in the 11 for the Norway game. Stuart Pearce's 11, correct me if I'm wrong on these, this is off the top of my head. Pickford in goal, Reece James if fit. Let's work on the basis that he's fit. Reece James at right back, Konsa and Gahey at centre half, left back O'Reilly, Anderson, Rice and Bellingham in the midfield, and Harry Kane up front. Who was on the wings for you?
Gordon and Saka, the same starting pair as last time.
Well, Anthony Gordon was he was really good, I felt, and he came close to getting your man of the match, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did. The fact that he was on at the end of the game, he trusted him when he was making decisions that were defensive decisions. Someone who's out-and-out winger would be fair comment, give or take. He trusted him to be on that pitch and do a defensive shift as a three-man midfield, and that sent a hell of a message out to me that he trusts this fella.
If you do agree or disagree with Stuart's 11, you can give us a call or send us a voice note on WhatsApp, and the number is 0371722 3344. You could join us on the show here in Miami. Jim, what do you make of that 11?
Well, I think that's what it'll be. With the obvious caveats about everybody's fitness, with the three that are in there that haven't trained with the rest of the team today and are doing fulfilling individual programmes at the moment. But I assume that there's nothing unduly concerning any of the three and that they will all be fit to play. The news coming out of the camp seems to be that Reece James got an outstanding chance of starting. My only reservation, we touched on it in the first hour of this programme, is Declan Rice being on a yellow card and whether that does at any stage come into anybody's thinking, or whether you're past that now and it's just a question of if he's 80-90% fit, he's got to start.
Excuse my ignorance, I'm going to ask a question here. What's the situation with Jordan Henderson?
Jordan Henderson is he's broken his wrist.
Yeah, but is he out the tournament totally? Is he not? Is he going to be part of the squad? Will he have to go back to his club? I've not heard that. Sorry.
We've not heard that he's out of the tournament. He's certainly, I think he's going back to be with the squad. And he posted earlier today on social media, basically saying, you know, he was in a hospital bed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that. So I think he was saying, you know, let's get on with work, basically. But he was doing it like, you know what he's like, he's a team player. So he didn't want to make it all about him. He was making it about the team. So it wasn't the individual news of Jordan Henderson. It was, right, it's not about me, crack on with the team. So I think that even if he isn't playing, I think he'll still stick around with the squad. Because you can, if you broke your wrist, you're going to have it in a cast, right? So, but you can still function properly as a human being. It's not like he's bedbound or anything like that. So I think he would want to be around the squad, wouldn't he? You know him better than me.
Oh, 100% he would. But you've got to understand if his club ring England and say, look, you know, we're back in pre-season now and you've got a player with you, blah, blah, blah. But I think Jordan being a unique individual, in regard to how he conducts himself and that type of thing, he would want to be here and England would want him part of it.
Sorry, I was just going to say the fact that he's clearly a mentor, probably with a capital M, to Jude Bellingham after the mutual appreciation society that formed between them in the first week of the tournament. I think it's vital that he stays out here because I think his presence will help bring the best out of Jude.
I saw a great headline on one of the websites which basically said that England players will get a warning about the advertising hoardings. I mean, really?
I think they've had a warning already.
Oh dear, shocking. We're going to be taking a deep dive into Norway next, find out exactly how they play, how they can beat England, what England need to do to beat them as well. We'll get some more details from Norwegian sports journalists next.
The Egyptians afterwards were shouting "fix."
No,
not for me.
I was confused. All the outrage.
Yeah,
I don't think it was 2 fouls that they're saying weren't given. I don't think they were fouls.
No, I didn't.
McAllister on the edge, and then the Salah one. I didn't think they were both fouls. I feel like the Sandro Martinez, there was 2 fouls. There was a shirt pull, but it was more for me. If you look at it closely, it gets caught on his right, like sort of Achilles.
Yeah,
so there was like 2 fouls on Sandro Martinez.
From a footballing perspective, you didn't want that Egyptian goal to be ruled out because it was brilliant. But I saw why it was. I thought the McAllister, contact was fleeting with the Egyptian inside the box, was nowhere near the ball either.
Salah either.
And Salah was,
Salah
was looking for it.
Exactly.
Don't blame him, but I thought he was looking for it. And Egypt should look at themselves. They're 2-0 up. Yeah. They're 11 or 12 minutes away. Well, a bit more than that with added time. They had an unbelievable opportunity. Yeah. And they just...
You've got to hang on, haven't you?
Grasp it.
I'm sorry, though, Jeff. Watching the game, mate, this is the difference when people try and compare Messi and Ronaldo. It's not about Ronaldo, but in one of his quietest games, he still turns up, Lionel Messi. Yeah. Very quiet first half. When his country, his nation needs him, forget about the penalty miss. Anyone can miss penalties. He turned up, gets on the ball, gets the first assist for Romero. And then if you look at the second goal, Jeff, he's literally, I've seen the close-up clip, he's screaming for the ball, give it me, crosses one, blocked, crosses it again. And that finish, do you know how hard that finish is, Jeff? That is not an easy finish. To keep that down, to even relax and not just come sprinting forward like most players were. Honestly, this guy, no words for him. And even forget the goal and assist. How many little runs did he have second half where he's like, okay, I've got to do this for my country.
Left-footed shot! He's picked up the corner! Erling Haaland, you beauty! He struck it left-footed like an arrow into the net. The substitutes race onto the pitch. It's Norway into the quarter-finals. Brazil are heading out. Hats off Haaland.
It's Norway next up for England in the quarterfinals of the World Cup here in Miami. And we can't wait for it. And the Norwegians probably can't wait for it as well. Let's get the latest from them. Norwegian sports journalist, host of Viaplay, Paul Gordon, is with us. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, we're all good. It's great to have you with us. We need some insight on Norway. We won't feed it back to Thomas Tuchel, don't worry. But listen, I think a lot of people in England will be looking at it saying, yeah, Odegaard's a decent player, but this is about Haaland's goals and nothing else. How disrespectful would that be to the rest of the Norwegian team?
Well, it's a fantastic team, you know. It's the golden generation of Norwegian football, and we have, as you guys know, never been in a quarterfinal before. We've never gone further from the group stages in a World Cup tournament before. So it's football fever in Norway these days, really. And the match against England on Saturday will be probably the most, should I say, popular event in Norway when it comes to sport, or even, I should say, anything at all. The match will be so fantastic, and we are so happy in Norway that we got so far. But as you asked, my friend, it's about a good team, of course. Ødegaard is a fantastic player. There were some questions about him before the tournament. His season in Arsenal has perhaps not been the best. He's been out of form and he's been injured a lot. But he is really getting actually better for every match during this World Cup. And with Haaland up front, these two guys has a special connection. But it's also the other players. And I should mention, since you asked, the goalkeeper, Ørjan Hårsvold Nyland, has not played for Sevilla nearly at all this season. Well, he played one match before the World Cup, had a miss, and goes into the squad really without playing regularly, and was, as you know, fantastic against Brazil. Also a kind of match winner together with Haaland.
He was sensational. Can I ask you about this news that's been breaking this week, the sickness bug that's allegedly within the Norway camp? How serious is it, and are any players likely to be suffering the after effects of it by the time the quarter-final in Miami comes around?
Well, I have only been reading newspapers and hearing radio and TV interviews from Miami. I'm in Oslo, of course, but it seems to be not that big problem. And it seems to be actually the coaches, Ståle Solbakken and his assistant Kent Bergersen, and the people around the squad who has been a bit sick. So it doesn't seem to be that big of a problem. I think perhaps right now it feels a little bit like a media hype, so I think everybody will be fit for the match, as it seems now. If they don't get any worse, I think it will go fine. But of course, the medical people around the team has asked some players using a face mask and being careful. So they have to be careful in the situation they are right now, but it doesn't seem that big a problem right now.
Assuming that everyone is fit, Paul, and Norway are able to field their strongest possible team, how do England go about beating them? Because Brazil couldn't do that. It looked as though they were just tossing a lot of high ball inside the penalty area, as they'd done to try and get past Japan, and that was a tactic that worked against the Japanese. But when you got Christopher Ayer playing at centre-half, that's not necessarily a tactic that's going to work. There's potentially a perceived weakness that England can get in behind the fullbacks Ryerson and Wolfer. Would that be fair?
I think that's perhaps fair to say. What is interesting is that Norway has not been, what should I say, known for a lot of passes. But what was interesting with the match against Brazil was, of course, that we had much more passes in the team than Brazil had, and that's not very typical Norway. We usually hit a long ball up to a tall player, which passes it on to a striker or something. But the Norwegian team now, it's a completely different team for what I have seen before. It's a lot of passes, it's controlled, it's playing back, it's playing forward, it's a keeper who's goalie who's good with both with his feet. So and we got very good players on each side, of course, with Nusa and Sørloth. Perhaps Bob and Sheldrup will start tomorrow. That's a question in Norway. But as you say, there are perhaps some weaknesses in the back four. But it's very interesting to see how Norway has developed their play the last couple of years, I would say. It's much more passes, much more control, and the numbers, the statistics after the game were against Brazil were really strange. It felt really like Norway was Brazil when it came to possession.
Well, one thing we've loved, everybody's loved, the world has loved, is the connection between the players and the fans after each victory. And the Norway manager, Ståle Solbakken, has been speaking about the famous rowing celebration that's taken the World Cup by storm.
Yeah, and that's been so fantastic in Norway. And I must say, guys, before this match, I should perhaps say that you guys are the reason we love football in Norway, really, and especially the Premier League. We started showing English football on TV here in Norway in late 60s, and England has been a kind of football idol, or should I say a role model when it comes to football for us Norwegians. But suddenly now we are getting better and better, and with this golden generation, it feels like we can beat everybody. And that of course, the people here in Norway feel the same way. And football experts said before the World Championships that I think this team can go all the way to the final. People were laughing, no possible. But now, I mean, we have beaten Brazil. We have beaten a lot of good teams so far. And the people are getting to believe that this could go actually all the way. And that's, of course, what you are asking, my friend, is that this has done something with the Norwegian people right now. We are giving hugs to people in the street we don't know. Every night when Norway play, it's a party in the streets. People are getting mad. And of course, this rowing has brought something new into the fans. Everybody's rowing. Even the Crown Prince of Norway was rowing outside the palace after the game against Brazil. And it's been a world record as well, and most people rowing. So it's completely crazy, really. And it's very, very fun to be a Norwegian these days.
It's a beautiful thing, Pal. Really appreciate you spending the time with us. Thank you very much, Pal Gordon, Norwegian sports journalist. Actually, he says that it's all down to England bringing football to the world. We actually were the birthplace of Erling Haaland as well. Must not forget he was born in Leeds, but felt so Norwegian he had to play for them. Imagine if he was in the England squad. Wouldn't get in, would he?
Well, him or Kane wouldn't get in, probably.
Couldn't start them together.
Yeah. Actually, who's better there then? Who would you pick?
You'd have to pick both. You cannot not pick both of those two.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kane.
Just leave Bellingham out, eh?
You play Kane as a 10, yeah. Leave
yeah. Absolutely. It's interesting what he said there about football in the late 60s and early 70s, and that it really came. So my understanding is that they used to be able to get on Norwegian TV. Used to be able to get ITV. So they would watch Star Soccer as we had in the Midlands, the big match that they had in London, and so on and so forth. So the provincial clubs in Britain have got a massive following in Norway. So the guys from Aha, for instance, are Stoke fans. I've got a friend who's a commentator on Norwegian TV. He's a big Norwich fan because when he was growing up, they used to show the highlights of Norwich or Ipswich games as part of that regional football package in the 60s and 70s. So there is that heritage. People of a certain age, there's a real wide spectrum of clubs that they have grown up supporting that aren't the ones you would necessarily expect it to be.
Is that true about Aha, or is that just a take on me?
Hey.
Sorry, I know, sorry. I apologise to everyone listening. That was poor, I know, but hey, it gets us through the afternoon.
Day 38 on the talkSPORT World Cup Tour. Stuart's cracked a joke, and it's a terrible one. You're listening to World Cup Kickoff here on talkSPORT, live from Miami with me, Adrian Durham, the comedian Stuart Pearce, and the commentator Jim Proudfoot. Carl Walker will join us next.
Rank your three wind-up merchants on talkSPORT. Who are the top three? I would say you've now took the crown. It used to be Durham.
Right.
Durham was the wind-up merchant king of talkSPORT, wasn't he? You are now number one. You do realise that, right?
I don't wind people up.
What do you mean?
Okay, what have I done recently?
You wore a Mexican outfit and done Has Anyone Seen Mexico? And guacamole and pinatas and...
There's no
You can't tell me you're not a wind-up merchant.
Not Jay.
You've got...
No, I get a bad rap, mate.
What do you mean? You've got a cowboy hat on?
No. I do get a bad rap, though.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to remind you of another one.
Go on.
Every time Scotland played,
yeah,
you had the other team's jersey on.
Yeah, that was bad luck. That was really bad luck on my part.
That bad luck was it?
Yeah, yeah. So they played Haiti, right? The first game they played Haiti. I said to the bosses, I'm going to put my hand in this bag and pull out a shirt. The first shirt pulled out happened to be the day before they played Haiti shirt. So I've got to go through with it. Next one was the Morocco. Well, I told you, mate, I spilled tea all over my coffee, or whatever it was.
So you don't think you're a wind-up merchant?
No, I'm just unlucky.
What about the Ange mask?
What about it?
Well, I'm just giving you examples of you winding people up.
Well, how's wearing an Ange mask winding people up? Who's getting wound up with that? Some of those are bad luck. Some of those I've had some cruel luck, mate. That coffee incident, mate. What can I do? Yeah. And now the Brazil shirt. What do you want me to do? I had to wear something. Can't come in here naked. The only shirt I could find was Brazil. I don't know what to say. I mean, just poor, bad
Is there going to be more of the Jason Cundy generational run going into next season? Yeah.
In a century of World Cups, it's not just the football that's changed. Stadiums have gone from concrete behemoths to technological marvels, and the giant monolithic arenas help to define tournaments. Back in 1930, the world embraced its greatest spectacle for the first time. Uruguay was the host, and in just 90 days, they built a stadium that's still there today. It was a gargantuan effort to pull together the 90,000 capacity Estadio Centenario, one of only 3 venues for that tournament, that would act as a monument to 100 years of Uruguayan independence. If that was the World Cup's birthplace, Mexico City's Estadio Azteca became its cathedral. Some of the World Cup's most iconic moments happened on this grass, including this, of course. Also, both Pelé and Maradona lifted the trophy in the Azteca. A bit of pub quiz ammo for you there. You're welcome. In England, there's no more special place to us than Wembley, the scene of our greatest triumph. And yes, it definitely was a goal. Some incredible stadiums across the world have hosted matches, but you don't have to have a modern-day spaceship of a ground to make it memorable. Take 2006, for example, and here. The memories of what happened at Berlin's Olympiastadion show events on the pitch can elevate a stadium in the minds of fans worldwide. But that doesn't stop us from marvelling at modern triumphs of engineering. Let's jump ahead to Qatar and take a look at this, the Lusail Stadium. This gorgeous golden bowl hosted the frankly unbelievable final in 2022. But that's not where it ends in Qatar. Take Stadium 974, for example. This place was built from shipping containers and can be taken down and built somewhere else. Mad. It's crazy to think that we've gone from building giant concrete bowls to what is basically modern art. To be fair, some concrete bowls, like the Maracanã, are art in its most flawless form. The teams and the players are why we all come, but sometimes the stage they perform on ends up being the main character. And with structures like this, it's hardly a surprise.
Well, it feels like anything is possible for England after that round of 16 game in Mexico.
Bellingham again, and he slipped it to his right-hand side, and he scored again! It's 2 in a minute! Harry, your country needs you here. You've got to put this away, right footed, he has!
That was proper England. Fantastic. You filled your nation with pride. You are all heroes.
It's an extraordinary night and a huge night, but what I see in training on a daily matter, I think we still can play better.
That performance of guts and quality and everything thrown in the mix was some performance.
Back to Erling Haaland, left-footed shot! He's picked up the corner! It's Norway into the quarter-finals! Brazil are heading out! Erling Haaland, you beauty!
Score 7 goals for Norway in the World Cup is quite special.
Bring on the Norwegians in Miami!
Now comes quarter-final, now you see the end of the tunnel, and now from the quarter-final every team can win it. We're in the last 8, it's full steam ahead now.
That was brilliant, wasn't it? In Mexico, England winning 3-2 with 10 men. And how will that affect them? How will that galvanise them? Let's bring in a very special guest, represented England at the last 5 major tournaments, 90-odd caps for his country. Kyle Walker is with us on talkSPORT. How you doing, Kyle?
Yeah, very well. Just finished training now, so I thought I'd jump on here and speak to you guys.
Yeah, real privilege to have you with us. And you're actually in the States with Burnley pre-season, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in Cincinnati at the minute. We're doing 4 days here, then we head over to Columbus for 2 days and then finish in Salt Lake. So it's getting the vibe over here and the World Cup feeling.
And actually, I've had a look at your fixtures. I think you play on Friday and Sunday. That means everybody's free to watch England in the quarter-final, yeah?
I hope so. I hope we get the afternoon off training so we can go and watch the game and obviously support England. So we'll have to pull a few straws here with the manager.
Listen, what did you make of what happened in Mexico?
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I think there was a lot of question marks over certain players at the start of the tournament. You know, I'm referring to Jude Bellingham there. And I said from the start that big players turn up in big occasions, and he's gone and done that, especially, you know, at the night in Mexico to put England in the quarterfinal against Norway. But I think it's also a great defensive performance, and being a defender, you know, I do like seeing when people are flying in and putting blocks in and, you know, playing for the badge. So it was a real honour to watch that game, and I felt proud as a fan now.
Was your heart in your mouth a little bit? Because it was all-out attack from Mexico. How nervous were you?
Of course. You know, when we go down to 10 men from the challenge, you're kind of thinking to yourself, is this going to be one of the nights that I've been there, you know, we look at Iceland in the Euros and you kind of think, are we going to let this slip and let it get away from us? But I thought they showed great Brazilians, the lads. You know, I thought Pickford had probably the game of his life in net, and he needed to do that. I think some of the performances before that had been a little bit, you know, if buts and maybes, but I think that was bang on the money of the defenders.
Carl, we've had a problem at the right back position, which obviously you've been in slot for many a year. Where would your selection be if you had James, Spence, Konsa and Quansah all fit and available? We know Quansah's suspended for this one, but where would your choice go out the four of those?
Firstly, hi Gaffer, how are you? You okay? And secondly, I'd go for Reece James. I think obviously Reece James being the natural out and out and probably the top right back in that squad, I think you have to play him. Obviously, it's the question mark on is his hamstring going to, you know, keep going for the 90 minutes, or does he play him for 70 minutes, get a good performance out of him, and hopefully we have a good lead by then. I don't think it's going to be straightforward. Obviously, when you've got Erling Haaland coming up against you, it's never going to be straightforward. But I would start Reece James.
And John Stones, I mean, I've been a little bit surprised. I've got to say that, you know, John's been in the squad having not played a great deal this season. Then all of a sudden, he plays the first game. We've not seen a great deal of him starting matches. Are you been surprised about that at all?
Yeah, I thought, you know, a little bit like you, that when he took John Stones, having not played as much minutes as John would have liked throughout that season, you kind of thought, okay, is he going to start? He's got to be in, you know, with a good chance. But Mark has been fantastic all season for both Crystal Palace and Manchester City. And I thought Cons has had a fantastic season at Aston Villa and obviously winning in Europe as well. So it was always going to be difficult which three we say or which two out of the three we was going to put in. But to play John, or for John to come on in that magnitude of game and put in the performance that he did, I think it's a great credit to him and just shows what he does for the work behind the scenes that people don't see. But I am surprised that he's probably not got as much minutes as he probably wanted.
Carl, can I ask you about Jarell Quansah's red card and what you would have done in that situation, or what a right-back should do in that situation? Some people feel he got the ball and maybe the red card was harsh. I don't know how you feel about that, but when you saw him flying into that challenge, were you fearing the worst?
I think it's a ball that you know as a fullback that you try and get. Obviously, if you win it and you look good and all of a sudden the wind's on your side, I'm going to say. But I feel in that state of the game, do you really need to be diving in then? I don't think so. But that's also no disrespect to, you know, Jarell, that he's got a decision to make in a millisecond. And sometimes you mistime your challenges by that much in this scenario with that atmosphere as well. It gives the ref a decision to make, and the refs decided that it was a red card, and he'll learn from it. But it's something that, you know, I think I wouldn't have probably slid in that much in that state of the game.
I want to ask you about Jordan Pickford. You talked about how brilliant he was, and he was sensational, not just in terms of some amazing saves, but the distribution from him as well. Is it really annoying playing with Jordan Pickford? Because he seems to bark and shout at everybody.
I think you get used to it. I've obviously done a few things on this now with Jordan Pickford, and I think he's a lot like Marmite. People either love him or hate him. But I think one thing that you can't hate about him is his performances for England. I felt the other day was a big day for him. And for him to keep that ball out of the net as much as he did with the saves he did, and just the little dark arts, I'm going to say, with the time wasting, you know, being clever and being cute and using his experience. I thought he did excellent, and that's the standard that Jordan Pickford, for me, has set in an England shirt for the last number of years that he's been in goal.
We've got this quarter-final with Norway coming up. In terms of Erling Haaland, we obviously know him well. What sort of plans can you make for him?
I mean, it's going to be difficult. I think any centre-back that comes against Erling Haaland knows that you're in a game. He's physical, and he's one player that I've probably never seen before that doesn't mind not touching the ball, but then all of a sudden when the ball's in front of the goal, he puts it in the back of the net. Obviously, Gabriel's had a fantastic season with Arsenal, but I think he gave him a run for his money the other day. And for Norway, it's a full credit to them to actually be in a quarter-final. And we're saying that Norway are playing England in a quarter-final. It's a great achievement for them. But I think it's also down to, obviously, the likes of Erling Haaland and his goals and what he provides up front.
Listen, Carl, stay with us. We've got another little section with you. It's World Cup Kickoff live from Miami. I'm Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce, Jim Proudfoot are with me. We'll continue the chat about Erling Haaland and Norway. Also ask how that game against Mexico has galvanised the spirit of that England team, what they can gather from that. Carl will be well versed with how it is in the England dressing room, and talk about whether England can actually win the World Cup next.
Michael Owen, in his Daily Mail column, has decided, I think, to take a bit of a swing at how we have reacted to that Arsenal Freudian slip there. That England result the other night, and he says, "Let's not confuse drama with quality. England must improve." He's basically dismissed the calls that it was brave. He says, "I think we mistake what bravery in football is. We are celebrating players throwing themselves in front of shots as if they have gone to war." And he offers his own interpretation of bravery, which is real bravery is wanting the ball when 80,000 people are willing you to make a mistake. It's showing for possession when everyone else is hiding. It's taking the ball off your mate when he's in trouble, knowing if you lose it, you'll be criticised. That's football bravery, and that's what England need more of if they are going to win this World Cup. In the context of how it made this country feel as well, this feels like quite a miserable take. I know that we need to start looking ahead to Norway and the improvements that we need on the pitch, but for the moment,
100%.
I think
let's celebrate.
Let's celebrate. It's Wednesday.
I totally disagree, Michael Owen. I feel that players in that atmosphere, you know what I mean? Everyone's talking about the altitude. You've got 80,000 Mexican fans. I think it is heroic in a way of you getting on the ball, Jude Bellingham getting on the ball, Dan Burn throwing themselves up in front of shots, doing that for your country, knowing how much football means to this country. People are going through a tough time. It's not the best state at the moment of the country. And those players, I think, hold themselves in a high manner, because that's what you want to see from your team. How many times have we been in tournaments where, you're playing against Mexico away. Okay, we don't want to turn up. Some players crumble. Every player, even the subs that come on, they perform. Yeah. So I think it was fantastic.
talkSPORT live in Miami. I'm Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot with me. We've got Kyle Walker, former England international, with us on the show, and he's in pre-season in the States with Burnley. Are you fit? Are you still the most rapid at the football club? Is it all going well?
Yeah, I'm fit. I still feel good. Obviously, 36 now, so I'm knocking on a little bit, but I still feel good. I still feel really good, and I'm still enjoying it, and I think that's the most important thing.
I think you're the only footballer that's ever said to me they enjoy pre-season, but there you go. Oh, was it you enjoy games, not pre-season?
Pre-season's not the most enjoyable, but the games are. And obviously just waking up and playing football every day, it's enjoyable. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, listen, it's literally the dream come true. I'm sure you did dream about it as a young boy, and here you are doing it, and you've done it at the elite level as well. And that's actually what I want to start with, because you played under Gareth Southgate, you played under Thomas Tuchel as well, and there's been a lot of comparisons between the two. Some saying, "Oh, Southgate would never have done this," or Tuchel does this better. Whatever the comparisons are, from your point of view, having played under both, what do you see as the comparisons?
I think you look at obviously what Sir Gareth did and what we achieved as a group of young men coming into the fold into the England camp. A semi-final, 2 European Championship finals. It was a great achievement for us. But I think probably the question mark was, can we get over that line? And I think that's what Thomas has been brought in to do, is to try and get this group of talented footballers over the line. I'm not saying Gareth couldn't do that. I think he was well capable of doing that, but obviously he had a few bites of the cherry, and we just fell short at the last bit. Now we have to take accountability as players for that as well as the manager. But hopefully this new group of lads that are coming through, and also the manager, can go and cross that line and bring home the World Cup since 1966.
And I think the players seem to really love Thomas Tuchel, don't they? I mean, I don't know if you've seen that viral clip of John Stones pretending he had a shoulder injury and then dancing, and Thomas Tuchel was fooled by it, thinking not another defender out. There seems to be a lot of camaraderie there, but there was a lot of togetherness under Gareth Southgate as well. So how do you view those different situations, and do they absolutely adore Thomas Tuchel now?
I think with Gareth, I think he probably got the nation to fall back in love with football. With what we did with Russia, with trying to bring obviously the media on board and everything like that, and just changing the philosophy or how people see this England team. I think Gareth started this journey. Now, obviously, there's a lot of us that aren't there anymore that was doing that back in Russia, but there's still key players in that, and John, Harry Kane, Jordan Pickford, Jordan Henderson. These are all key parts of keeping the unit together. You're away for 4 weeks, and as you all know, it is tough. It is tough when you're missing your family and stuff like that. But in the back of your mind, you're representing your country, and it's something like you just said there that kids dream about. We all dreamed about doing this. So enjoy it. You need to enjoy it. You need to have a laugh. But also when it's time to work and when you cross them white lines, you're representing the country, and you've got them 3 lines on the badge, and you need to go and play like they did the other night, rather than probably in the last couple of games, which was, I think, fell a little bit short, but they well earned their stripes, as I said before, in the last game, to hopefully go on now and beat Norway.
Okay, so let's just say, they do beat Norway, and I don't think any of us are taking that for granted, especially when they've got a goal machine up front for them. But after that, it's potentially Argentina. After that, you're looking at maybe France in the final. How confident are you that England not just can win the World Cup? I think we all believe they can, but that they will go on and win the World Cup.
I think these are obviously the difficult games now. I don't think Norway is a pushover. I think you look back over the last 4 or 5 years and you say England, Norway in a final, in a quarter final, then, England should do better than that and should win the game. But if we do go past Norway, which we all hope we do, we've got Argentina or Switzerland, which I don't think either one of them is an easy game. We played them the last Euros and only just beat Switzerland on penalties. And obviously Argentina and Messi don't really want to give this World Cup up, going 2-0 down to Egypt to then bring it back in some extraordinary fashion. He's still got a point to prove, I think the greatest of all time. So it's going to be tough. And then we're obviously then talking about the likes of Spain, France, and that side of the draw, that it's going to be a really, really tough final. But if we can get there, we've got a chance, and that's what we need to do.
There's been a couple of games where we haven't been at 100%. How worrying were those games for England?
I think you obviously have to take the performance as what the performance was. And I've been in championship winning teams, and sometimes you come off the field and you say, we escaped one today and we've actually won. And sometimes you need to do that. You need to grind results out, and you might not come off the field thinking that we've played well, but you've got the 3 points on the board. And I think that's what we did. We saved it for the Mexico game, which, you take that hands down with a knockout game. But we need to now continue that. We've set the bar so high now with that game that they need to now go and reproduce that against Norway, and hopefully again in the semi-final, whether that's Argentina or Switzerland.
Kyle, good to speak to you. There's so much experience in that squad. But someone like you, 4 quarter-finals, 3 semi-finals, 2 finals playing for England. If one of the younger, more inexperienced players was to seek your advice, what would it be as they go into potentially the biggest 8 days of their footballing career?
I think in everything, you have to enjoy it. I've had the privilege, obviously, of playing at Manchester City and winning a lot of trophies. And getting over the line the first time is always the hardest. Of course it is, because you're in uncharted territory that you don't know. But I think with now the squad that we've got and with the players that we've got in that squad, you know, there's a lot of Premier League winners there, there's Champions League winners there, and there's winners that I look around when we probably got there in Russia in 2016 that we didn't really have. Now, there's no excuses now. We need to enjoy the game of football. We're all there for a reason, and that's because we love the game of football. So, but keep your feet on the ground. You're only as good as your last game. We had a very good game, but that game's gone now. We're facing a different opponent with a different skill set, and we need to just make sure that we go and attack this game like we did that. Don't have the handbrake on. Don't be silly, but, you know, go and express yourself and show what good footballers you are.
Yeah, I think that I'm intrigued by that experience within the dressing room and what you know of that experience. So winning the quarterfinal, say, in 2018 against Sweden, what was that like there? Because obviously they had Croatia coming up, and the belief would have been so high.
Yeah, of course. You're buzzing. Of course you're buzzing, and you're obviously happy for everyone that's contributed to the game and to the camp of being there for 3 or 4 weeks. But this comes with pressure of playing for England, and that's just a part and parcel of the job. It is what it is. Now, I feel that you achieve your best football or play your best football when you just go into autopilot and you just play the football like you was playing in the park. And I think that's when people, especially the forward line with your Jude Bellinghams, your Harry Kanes, whether it's Noni Madueke or Saka or Rashford or Gordon, go and express yourself and go and enjoy the game of football. You're in a quarter-final representing your country at a World Cup stage. Play with a smile on your face, and whatever happens, you know, happens, but you go there, you go out with a fight.
Can I ask you about the news today from the England camp that there's 3 players who are following individual programmes away from the group who are training together at Kansas City? So I'm just wondering, from the inside, what do you read into that? Mark Gahey, Reece James, Declan Rice, all training individually. When you're within that group, what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, first and foremost, obviously I don't know what time it is. I'm on so many different time zones here. We've just landed yesterday. I haven't really caught up with the news, but if you say it is Mark, Reece and Declan, then the people that, you know are second in the pecking order, let's say, they need to be ready. They need to make sure that they're ready. I always believe that in a tournament, there's not 11 players who are going to win the tournament. You don't start with the same starting 11 that you start the tournament to finish the tournament. Some people turn up in these moments and you can be a national hero. Now, if these players are injured or, you know, carrying a little niggles here and there, make sure that you're ready. You know, stay ready on the side of the pitch, you know, observe, make sure that you've got every bit of detail, and it could be your chance to be, you know, a national hero, like I've just said.
I think, Stuart, you were saying earlier about Declan Rice. If he has got an injury and he's on a yellow, there's a question over whether you play him against Norway, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I'm sure Carl will echo this. If you're not fit to play, you're not fit to play, full stop. I think England are in such a good place at the moment. Potentially, you can't take chances with any of our players, but, you know, Declan Rice is on a yellow card at the moment, another yellow, and all of a sudden he's out for the semi. Would that be a concern for you if you were managing, Carl?
I'm not there yet, Gaffer, with managing, but obviously you have to take it into consideration. If, you know, if Dec's carrying a little niggle and all of a sudden you can stick someone else in there that, you know, can do, I'm going to say, a 70% job, because I think Declan Rice has been absolutely unbelievable in the last 2 seasons for Arsenal. So if someone can fill in that role, or it can change the formation slightly, you know, you look at Morgan Rogers, maybe Cobbe can slide into that role and maybe not risk Declan Rice in a quarter-final, but then you're not guaranteed to get to the semi-final. So I think that's why managers get paid the money and have to make these big decisions.
Dilemma, isn't it? It could backfire. But listen, Carl, we won't take up any more of your time. Great to talk to you, giving us some real insight there. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, cheers, guys. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Take care, mate.
All the best.
Keep enjoying pre-season. Kyle Walker, former England international, with us. You're listening to World Cup Kickoff here on talkSPORT live from Miami. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce, former England captain, and our England commentator Jim Proudfoot with me. Manuel Petit joins us next.
The idea it's a clear tournament has been fixed. I think that's a bit powerful. Let's have it right. Because at the end of the day, if you were fixing the tournament, you'd keep Brazil in it, surely. You're fixing the tournament, you try and keep them in it. If you want worldwide viewings, and advertising and money and all that and revenues and fixing it for the right reasons, so the superpowers are inside the competition.
Well, we can evaluate the stupidity, but we can dissect the stupidity of individual statements. But we're talking about the premise of what.
I don't think that's stupid. I think it's harsh. I don't think it's a stupid comment. I think it's just in the moment. It's got wrapped up in the moment. There's billions of people.
Stupid comment. You can't run around saying.
Simon, there's billions of people.
It's an uninformed, uneducated, unsubstantiated, with no empirical background behind it. Because it's an uneducated view. You can't tell something's fixed unless you know it to be factually the case.
No,
so
I just said his emotions run riot.
But it's a stupid comment because it's not seeded in anything. So what the argument is about and debate is about is whether people should be able to say these sort of things and whether the consequences of it should be far-reaching. And what we're talking about is how people should operate.
I think Simon's right in this one, is he not, Sean? It is clear this tournament has been fixed. Then that guy boards a plane and flies back to Egypt and goes unpunished. I mean, my God, that is conspiratorial.
No, I totally agree. It's too powerful. That part of the statement is too powerful.
Yeah.
The rest of the referee's not fair. We've all said that in different variances down the years. The injustice was clear. I mean, look, the argument going back to, the facts of it as a manager, forgetting that last part of the statement, which is powerful, and you can't forget it, I understand, but let's just, for our question and answer here, forget it. The injustice is the foul, isn't it? They're going, why are you bringing it back to that foul? Why are you allowing that foul to create such a moment in a game and bring it back for their goal? The goal that was disallowed.
But the irony of it is, if you interviewed a referee, right, and a referee went out and said, these clowns are unfair, the players cheat, the managers harass and abuse us on the side, they'd be outraged.
Yeah, we're live in Miami, which is where England play Norway on Saturday in a World Cup quarter-final. The section we just had with Carl Walker, you'll find that on YouTube a little bit later on if you want to listen back to exactly what the former England international had to say. Let's hear from a current England international. Dan Burns been speaking to talkSPORT's Faye Carruthers in the last few moments.
Dan, have you even come down from Sunday yet?
Yeah, I'm all right now, but it was a good couple of days. I think it was obviously a lot of hype from the game, and everyone was buzzing. I think just the way the game went and the stadium, all of that. It was sort of, yeah, you couldn't have asked for anything more from a game, really.
World Cup debut at the Azteca.
Yeah.
Was that on bucket list? Was it even like a dream?
No, I think it's hard. Like, people say, "Oh, like, was that everything you dreamed of?" And it's like, well, you didn't really. Like, I couldn't even have that dream. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you were a kid, so it was. Yeah, it was special. Like, I knew the history behind it and stuff. But even listening to like the Mexican national anthem, like, you could hear like 80,000 Mexicans sing that. So it was. Yeah, special. And then obviously the way the game went with the penalties and the sending off and all that, it was yeah, great game.
Did you even get a second, because of the context of what was going on, did you even get that kind of, oh wow, I'm about to make my World Cup debut, or was it just like...
Yeah, a little bit, but I think because everything was happening so quickly, and I kind of, the way the game was going, like, I it's one of them where I know I've been brought for certain scenarios, and like, I could see already what was coming and sort of just preparing yourself to come on. And I think it's different when you, like, I'm 34 and I've played like over 500 games, so like, it's really just the same game, it's just a different level, do you know what I mean? So I wasn't like nervous coming on, I knew what I was coming on to do and just wanted to get on and help the lads.
I've seen so many stills, amazing photographs that you are going to have to get framed and put at home, but that moment where Raul Jimenez was going for his overhead kick and you put your head in, there's a brilliant moment in commentary between Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce where Jim said he almost got his teeth kicked out there, and Stu said something along the lines of, I don't think he'd have cared about that. What was going through your head?
Well, I've played against Jimenez like many times, and I know he always likes an overhead kick if he can set it up. So just when the ball was there, and it's kind of one of them where you're just throwing yourself in front of it, like safely. You can still do it safely. Do you know what I mean? I knew I wasn't going to get it right in the face, but as I said, it was at that point, it's just you're giving everything for the team, and you know how hard they've worked. So you're just wanting to show your part. So yeah, I made a nice little highlight.
Yeah, and you talked about the specialism and why Thomas Tuchel's brought you in. Jeff Stelling has also said he thinks you should start against Norway because of what you've done against Erling Haaland in the past. I think he's only scored 1 goal past you. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, 1 goal. I do enjoy playing against Erling purely just from a physical point of view. Like, I quite like that sort of physical battle, and I get on well with him on the pitch. Like, we do get on quite well, although you'd have to ask him if he thinks the same thing. But yeah, like, if I'm asked to do that, I'd be more than ready and more than happy to do that. But obviously I also know that we've got sort of 4 other centre-halves who are also top quality players and have played this whole tournament because of that too.
There you go, Dan Byrne with talkSPORT's Faker. There's some great questions there. We've had a few fans phone up, so let's head to the phone lines now. Hear some of your shared takes with Burger King.
Shared takes on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Total tournament satisfaction delivered by the experts. Order now on the BK app.
Phil is a Newcastle fan, therefore he's a Dan Byrne fan. Phil, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you, and I'm a very big Stuart Pearce fan as well.
No, you're too kind.
Too kind.
No. What you done for us when you come up here was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
What do you want to say about Dan Byrne or England?
Well, as I say, Dan Byrne, I think we're going to miss out on a big trick here. We don't play him because, as you just said, Haaland loves the physical battle. And Stones, okay, he can't give that to him. The only one person that can do is big Dan Byrne. And, you know, in a good way, he's just physical, he'll put himself on the line, he'll do everything. And it's also good to see, with being a Geordie, with Jordan Pickford, he seems to have come of age in this World Cup, and especially in that last game. You know, instead of all his silly antics, he's took it on the chest of what he has to do, and he's done it with pride.
It's a historic moment, actually, on talkSPORT, a Newcastle fan being nice about Jordan Pickford. So, Phil, appreciate that. Just want to throw that at you, Stuart, about Dan Byrne. I mean, I think it's unlikely that he's going to be picked because, he's come on as a sub in the last game. His first appearance at the World Cup. To then suddenly pick him for a quarter-final would be a risky decision. But he's made those bold decisions before, Thomas Tuchel. Could you see that happening?
Well, I don't think it's a risky decision because, if you know one player, enjoys that sort of contact. And sometimes certain players complement each other's style, and that's a good thing from Dan's point of view. He's obviously had some good encounters, and I, for one, would love to see the match-up, to be fair, because you've got two players, both of them I admire greatly, Haaland and Dan Burn, for the way they approach the game. There's no histrionics about it. They'll go head-to-head, and it's almost made a best man win mentality between the pair of them. Both physical players, but both will not try and cheat the referee. They'll just go head-to-head against each other, and it's a brilliant encounter to see. And as Dan mentioned there in his interview, there's a mutual respect between both of them because they admire, hey, you're not trying to get me sent off, I'm not trying to get you sent off mentality.
Yeah, and I love that question from Faye when she was talking about the block on Raul Jimenez, what was going through your head. The try on the match ball was going through Dan Byrne's head at that moment in time. If you've got a shared take of your own, you can voice note us or simply give us a call 03717 22 That's all thanks to Burger King.
Shared takes on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Iconic winners delivered in the box every time. Order now on the BK app.
So the quarter-final lineup is like this: Argentina, Switzerland, Norway against England, Spain against Belgium, and tomorrow France take on Morocco. Let's turn our attention to France, who are many people's favourites. Let's speak to a World Cup winner, 1998 World Cup winner and goal scorer, Emmanuel Petit. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, good evening, gentlemen.
Can I ask you a question about England, first of all? As a Frenchman, and I'm sure you want France to win the World Cup again, are you worried about England now?
Worried? No, we respect England, just like we respect Spain, for example. I think this is the two most dangerous team for France. But just like England did against Mexico, I think sometimes you need to win ugly against tough opponents, strange scenarios sometimes. And this is exactly what England did against Mexico, with all the environment, the altitude, the pressure from the crowd, the red card, everything, they had to cope with that on the pitch. They reacted collectively and individually, and I think they did very well. They showed great commitment, confidence as well, great character and personality. And this is exactly what France did against Paraguay. And I think it was kind of the same with Argentina yesterday against Egypt. So you need some time to win ugly, to go until the end to win the World Cup. So to answer your question, we don't fear England. We respect them a lot.
Are you in a position, Manu, that you feel that this is now France's to lose, that you've been playing the best football out here and that with a decent win behind you, it's going to be another World Cup triumph?
Well, the expectation in France from the fans, but as well from the players and from the manager, former players, everybody that's following, the World Cup, we are all saying the same thing. I think I can't remember the last time we had so much qualities up front, so much quality in total, into this team. The options, for Didier Deschamps is amazing. He can manage, to change 2 or 3 guys up front. And when you look at the substitution, they are top quality as well. So the expectations are very high, and everybody in France think that we are going to win the World Cup. But, thinking this way, it doesn't mean that we're going to win it on the pitch. We have to prove it. And so far, so long, I think we've done very good on the pitch.
Manu, we've been impressed with Elise, his performances. Have you been wowed with those?
Yeah, of course. I think nobody knew about Elise 2 years ago. Even when he was playing for Crystal Palace before leaving, to Germany, to Bayern Munich. It was, we kept an eye on him, but we didn't know if he wanted to play, for the national team because, as you know, he was born and raised here in England. So decided to choose France instead of England. But for the last 2 seasons, it was kind of big surprise, because for what everything he's done, with Bayern, he's been amazing. Honestly, he's been amazing. But that was as a right winger, and Deschamps used him, as a central, like a masterclass. The guy who conduct and manage, everything on the pitch. And I think I have no idea what is his best position on the pitch because he's brilliant. On the right wing, is brilliant as well as a central midfielder. So this guy can do anything he wants with the ball. He seems so relaxed, so far away from modern football, the social medias, the likes. He hates that, and he barely speaks to anyone, during the press conference. He likes to be in the shadow all the time. But when he comes, on the pitch, all of a sudden, there is a kind of transformation. So everybody is very happy with Olise, but no one could even dream about what he's doing actually, because 2 years ago, we didn't know about him.
So has that been heralded as a great masterstroke by Didier Deschamps?
It's obviously it's amazing. I'm such amazed. I won big trophies, with France, the World Cup and European competition. But when I look at this team, I think I can't remember quality team like this, in France. And we've been, blessed, through generation with so much amazing players, starting from Platini, for example, but with Zidane, Kylian Mbappe now. But when I look at the quality of this team, sometimes it's frightening, to watch, because I always keep my finger crossed before the game, thinking, I hope they're going to do exactly what they want on the pitch, because there is so much quality altogether, but individually as well. This is, for me, I respect England, I respect Spain. They are great teams, great players, but I think there is a slight difference between Spain, England, and France. I think Spain are probably the most complete football as a team, as a unit, but we saw that Lamine Yamal is not 100% fit. They're missing as well Nico Williams. We see that England is the dependence, of England with Kane and Bellingham is huge. When we look at our team, we have so many options, as I said before, and we can play in counter-attack, in transition. We can play building up, the occasion. We can make individual skills to make differences, just like Doué did against Paraguay. So many options. So I wonder how you can cope, as a defender. This is the question I'm asking to Stuart. How will you rewrite, to play against that kind of players, because they are fast. Technically, they are very intelligent in terms of movement as well. And when they all link all together, it's quite very difficult, to defend against them.
Yeah, when you've got threats from everywhere, you've got a front four that can probably threaten you anywhere. So you can keep one or two quiet, but France has got so many threats from all different angles. It's a big problem, and sort of playing against teams and players that have not just got talent with their feet, they got pace as well, and that is a real issue. And I think if England are lucky enough to get through to meet France at any given time, that will be a problem, I think, especially if we defend high. I think you almost have to defend quite deep against them.
Yeah, I totally agree. But who knows, I know that football is not an individual sport. So, as I said, I respect a lot England. My biggest threat, I think, it's Spain, because collectively, they seem to be the best team in the World Cup. They come back, step by step at the best level, waiting as well from Lamine Yamal, to be at his best. So I have no idea if he'll be fit 100%, for the last few games. But for me, Spain's collectively reminds me the way they used to play in the European tournament, where we went Germany. I think they look great, and they come back at their best level, actually.
Well, listen, we'll see how it goes. I think we do fear France quite a lot, to be honest. There's some really good players there. Manu, thanks for joining us. Just want to point out Manu's going to be on The Breakfast Show tomorrow with Jeff Stelling and Gabby Agbonlahor from 6 a.m. And the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup, the podcast from talkSPORT with Matt Ford, Emmanuel Petit and comedian Alex Brooker, is available on all of your favourite podcast platforms now.
did you think of Cristiano's performances at this World Cup?
Well, listen, to be honest, take away the performances. I'm just on because I'm annoyed at Gabby for calling him a disgrace, to be honest. I think it's bang out of order. I think what he's done in his career, he's earned the right to be there.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
How's he not earned the right? How's he not earned the right? He scored 28 goals last season. He's 41, Gabby.
So?
What age did you retire? What age did you retire?
What age did you start playing professional football yourself, mate? Yeah, pipe down.
About me, mate.
Pipe
Don't
down.
worry about me, mate.
Don't go there, mate, when you haven't kicked the football in your life, okay? Settle down.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah,
I know what it's
settle
about.
down.
Don't worry about that.
Settle down.
No, you're a disgrace for calling him a disgrace.
No problem.
Honestly,
No,
it's unbelievable.
In fairness, Jack, we stood up for Cristiano. He said he had a wonderful, marvellous career. Nobody earns the right to play at a World Cup finals at 41 just because what you've achieved in the past. No one stops time. And you could see him last night. I mean, he was doddering around in attack. He could not raise a gallop. Time has caught up with him.
Jack still wants him started in the next World Cup as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. He's still producing. But there's loads of top... No, I'm saying Messi walks about, but he's still producing at the World Cup, which is fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But to say that he's not earned the right, he hasn't. He is a phenomenon.
But he's not anymore.
41 years of age.
But he's not anymore.
Unbelievable. You know how hard it is to keep yourself in shape.
But he's not anymore.
Jack,
surely
it's not a modelling competition.
Jack,
it's a
he'd
football game.
earned the right to play at previous World Cups, perhaps.
Competition, you'd be nowhere near it, Gabby.
Oh, no, okay. Send us a picture of yourself, mate. Let's rate you out of 10, mate.
Live in Miami, I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce is alongside me. He's here now. You're right.
I would like to be in touching distance, big guy.
Of course you do. Some of the magic might rub up. I'm not saying from you to me or me to you. Cool, like the Chuckle
From me
Brothers.
to you. I can believe that.
Jim Proudfoot is here as well. Angelina Kelly is here. We'll speak to you in a little bit about Alexi Putellas and various other things as well. But let's hear from Morgan Rogers, the England midfielder. He's been speaking to the media just a few moments ago. There was a very special reporter who had a question for Morgan.
Okay, before we go there, we've just got a trainee reporter called Jed Spence over here.
Alright, well,
hello, mate.
There's been a lot of speculation about, in the recent weeks, who's the fastest in the squad. Is it true Jed Spence is the fastest in the squad?
Let's just say I wouldn't bet against you in the race. But there's a couple saying that they might have you. Anthony Gordon being one of them. So I'd like to see that race. We'll see who wins. But yeah, I wouldn't bet against you.
It's just become a thing, hasn't it? Who's quickest in the squad? Was it a thing in your day, Stu? How close were you to being the fastest?
About 3 miles behind Franz Carr, to be quite honest with you. We had some speed merges, but I was fortunate. I always had the manager's son, Nigel Clough, way behind me, you know. But he was clever between his ears.
What about the England squads you were in?
I'm trying to think who was quick in that. No one sort of stands out. I mean, I had Cole Walker's with the under-21s as young, you know, and Theo Walcott, they were speed merchants. But in our team, yeah, I can't remember.
Des must have been quick.
I was going to say Des Walker, yeah.
Des was quick, yeah. To be fair, Des was probably the quickest.
Well, there was a song, You'll Never Catch Des Walker, wasn't it?
You'll never beat Des Walker. You just changed the lyrics, didn't you, to suit the story, you know, in talkSPORT style. No, Des was probably the quickest, fair to say.
Okay, was he really that quick, or was it a bit overhyped?
He read the game as well brilliantly, so that made him even quicker.
Oh, he was a fairly good player.
Yeah, he was half decent.
He did okay.
He did okay.
He go to Italy and they played him at fullback?
They played him at left back eventually, which didn't do him any favours.
Do you know what that means? They actually wanted to sign you and got it wrong.
They upgraded him to God's own position, left back. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they done.
He was the new Stuart Pearce. Maybe not. Angelina Kelly, can we talk about... I mean, this is the biggest signing of the summer. London City Lionesses in the WSL, mid-table, did okay the first season after promotion. They have only signed double Ballon d'Or winner Alexia Putellas. We knew this was going to happen, but it's still massive news, isn't it?
Yeah, this is absolutely huge. I mean, talkSPORT understands that this is more than just a player contract, though. She signed a 3-year deal, 14 years with Barcelona, 10 league titles, 4 Champions League titles, 38 trophies in total she won. And I don't think anybody thought that she would leave Barcelona, but she's made that decision. And throughout the press conference that she had with Michelle Kang, who is the billionaire businesswoman, the mogul, the owner of Washington Spirit, Lyon Women, and she has a share in the Lyon men's team as well, and London City Lionesses. They've been talking a lot about their partnership together. So talkSPORT do understand that this will be a bit of a legacy impact. Those are the words that are being used, and the way that they were speaking together, or Michelle Kang was doing a lot of the speaking, which people watching the press conference were a bit upset that Alexia didn't have centre stage. But, you know, they're talking about the work that they're going to be doing together. So I think this is not just Alexia Putellas going to play football in the WSL, it's also the work that she'll be doing off the pitch. She is one of the biggest superstars in women's football, for those who don't know. She's got 3.4 million followers on Instagram. London City Lionesses has 80,000, which has been growing a lot during the day. I've been keeping tabs on it. But having a name like her, somebody who's doing television ads with David Beckham and Thierry Henry at the moment, having her with London City Lionesses, the only independent women's club in the Women's Super League, it's huge.
So she's gone, though, from being Ballon d'Or winner and playing at Barcelona, playing at the Nou Camp, and now she's going to be at Bromley. Okay,
yes.
This is it purely money?
I mean, watching the press conference and reading around this story, I think there are 3 reasons. I mean, she's going from playing at a then world record 91,000 people at the Nou Camp. It was Barcelona against Real Madrid in the Champions League, to Bromley, which is Hayes Lane, 6,000 people is the capacity, and they struggle to even fill that. The closest they've got is when they played Arsenal, and we know that Arsenal travel very well. So looking into it, I think it's this partnership conversation that they've been having. It is the financial benefits. I mean, I'm pretty certain that Alexia is not doing this for free. I'm sure that she's been looked after. And why not? You know, we talk about female footballers not getting enough pay. She's going to be looked after in this deal. She was looked after at Barcelona as well. So why not? If she wants to get as much money out of her career as she can, she is a superstar. Michelle Kang was saying, with Alexia's brand and reputation and name recognition, with my passion and interest in investing in the sport, we can get there, i.e. being successful. So her global pull is a huge asset. She said that she wants to win, which for me was a little bit confusing, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to London City Lionesses, but they came 6th last season, which is great. However, for them to knock Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea off their perch, Alexia Putellas is 32. I can't see her lifting a Champions League during her time at London City Lionesses, to be completely honest.
Well, it was a question to her. She said in the press conference that she'd asked her agent. She said to her agent, "I want to go somewhere where I can win." She's ended up at London City. She needs to sack her agent.
Yeah, 100%. That's a terrible move. I mean, reportedly, she didn't want to face Barcelona anytime soon. That's apparently the reason why she's not gone to Arsenal or Manchester City, etc., because they're qualified for next season. But the main question is, you know, she can't drag this team by herself. You know, there's a lot of work still to be done. And even if she did, let's say that she somehow managed to drag this team to Champions League, I don't know if they can play in the Champions League, because Michelle Kang owns Lyon. She owns London City Lionesses. UEFA doubled down on banning 2 clubs from the same multi-club organisation from participating in Women's Champions League before the final just gone a few months ago. The head of women's football said that sporting integrity was the primary factor. We've seen it happen in the men's team. Marinakis, you know, maybe having a blind trust or something like that, perhaps, but she hasn't really given anything away. And Lyon are the most successful team in the Women's Champions League tournament. So which one's she kind of going to give up? You can't. It's like picking your favourite kid or something.
Yeah. Angelina, listen, thank you very much. If you want more Angelina Kelly, you're all over the socials, talkSPORT socials, aren't you?
Yeah, my voice will be popping up on people's Instagram and TikTok, so apologies for those awful tones that you'll be hearing.
Interviewed so many fans at this World Cup. talkSPORT Instagram, best place to go for that, at talkSPORT on Insta. Stuart, thank you very much.
Pleasure, Aid.
Are you and Jim off to the baseball?
We're going baseball tonight.
Yep. Marlins Mariners tonight.
Okay, but football's still the number one, is it?
Well, we'll pick the football up tomorrow morning over breakfast again, won't we? Back
probably.
to our normal day job.
There's no football on today. Can't begrudge us a night off.
Day off football, so they go to the baseball. Of course they do. The Sports Bar is coming next on talkSPORT.